inside. We inside. We inside. We inside, baby. Share this, share this on your page. Yeah, get up in here. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We both want the same thing, and even got it too. Get up in here. Oh, oh. Sing first. Hey, you know, I might do a little something. We have the affirmations, man. We bring the energy up. We get the vibes up. We get the vibes up. We got the libations going. You know what I'm saying? We got the libations. Absolutely. He's here. He's here. Ladies and gentlemen, he's here. There he is. We got a little. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. Wagwan. Good morning. Good morning. Morning to ya. Yeah. So what? Let's do it. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Share this on your page. It is Friday. It is Friday. We are here. Good Life Russ. It is, put on my spotlight. Good Life Russ. Good Friday. This is the show that helps you elevate your mind. It helps you evolve. It helps you do all the things that you needed to do to get your weekend started, man. So, man, when we get in here, we start to just check on each other. We do a wellness check. Before we even go live, we do a wellness check. And one of the things I love about Good Life Russ, it says, I felt him. See, he doesn't know he's my brother. I'm in tune with him, so I felt him. So he said, you know, I'm wonderful. I'm amazing. And then he confides into his brother and sister and says, but life is lifing. So I said, listen, I thank you for the affirmation. And when you said life is lifing, I said, I appreciate that. I appreciate that because this is part 3. Get up in here. Part 3 of Tim Russell's series, Protecting Your Peace. Protecting Your Peace. And we're going to round this conversation out. And while he brings up the show, I'm going to make me some tea. You know what I'm saying? To get my vibes going, get my libations going. But he's going to bring up the show as to what he's talking about. Our sister is back from Ghana. Hey! And I made it very important that she come into the conversation with us. We walk through this door together because this is how we do. You know, when the queen steps in the room, we acknowledge her, right? We make sure that she is heard and that, you know, she's brought up to speed with what we are talking about. So it's cool that we're walking through this door together this morning. So we appreciate you. And I'm pretty sure you're going to tell us all the wonderful stories, you know, of everything that happened over in the motherland. You know what I'm saying? But welcome, you guys. What's going on, Tim?
Everything, man. Life is amazing right now. I'm going through the experience of just being present. I think sometimes even when we're climbing a mountain, we got to stop and take breaks and turn behind us and look at the scenery, you know what I mean? And look at the new heights and get acclimated.
Yeah.
So I feel good. I feel alive.
Yeah. You feel irie. What's going on, sis?
Man, listen.
You back?
I'm back.
Look and listen. I see that thing. You know.
Yeah, I did a little thing yesterday or the day before. But you know, confidence, right?
Yeah.
Confidence has been one of the things that is really screaming out to me. That I heard this. It was a TED Talks, and the TED Talk basically was like, give confidence permission to go into the room before you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
To speak up for you. To handle business that you need to get done.
Absolutely.
And so I am standing on confidence. It took a lot of courage for me to do this here because of things that I said and spoke about my hair and how I thought. And
I meant courage because it's different, but it's you. It fits you. You know what I'm saying? It looks nice. Come back, skin all clear. You know what kind of cuisine you was eating over there? You know.
Listen, I was eating everything.
Yeah.
Because you know, I was seeing little chicken. That chicken might get ate later on today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't try to bush meat because they talked about bush meat, and I was like, "Oh, what's that?" So we couldn't figure out which animal came from the bush that was that meat.
Okay.
And I just had some. I think I tried a little piece of goat. Oh, snake was the biggest thing that I tried while I was there.
You had some snake.
I had snake.
Wow.
And it literally tastes like fish.
Oh,
it looked like a sauteed fish, and it tastes like fish. It's like,
well, is a snake like reptilian? So it's still kind of like is it reptilian or no?
Yes, so yes, reptile for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, so I mean, you would think,
I've had frog before too.
Okay, I definitely had frog legs. Definitely had frog legs.
But snake, that
some
was
good
my
old
first
cocktail
time.
sauce with some frog legs.
That was my first time having a snake.
Do me a favor in our audience, because we are getting an echo in the studio. But if you are getting an echo out there, let us know, because we want to make sure that the show is palatable for you. So sometimes we get an echo in the studio and we can talk over that. We just don't want to make this not so palatable for you. So if you are getting an echo out there, please let us know so that we can make some adjustments. Jessica says we're fine. We're good to go. Okay, good. As long as we got the thumbs up. Look, I'm palatable. I can talk over my own voice. Been doing it for years. So before I go get up and go get my tea, Tim, let's bring up the topic for today. This is part 3 of Protecting Your Peace. So what segment are we in this week?
So today, and the beauty of these parts are we did them in an order for the show. But when you're doing your shadow work, there is no order. You address what needs to be addressed.
Right. Absolutely.
You have to compartmentalize and create priority right then and there. And that's the 3 things we always talk about on the show. Is something that you need to do immediately. Mm-hmm. There's something that you need to delegate to others. And then there's something you need to put a pin in, like you're going to get back to later. Okay. So in every situation, you should be trying to prioritize. You dig what comes first.
As you break down the bullet points, have you and Walisha go ahead and keep the show going. Absolutely. I'll be right back, okay?
All right, so the 3 parts, we're on the 3rd part now, and of protecting your peace. And this is protecting your own peace from yourself. So this is one of the most important parts to me, just because we spend so much time with ourselves and we have so many warrant thoughts that we don't know where they came from. Mm-hmm. And when you're on a journey of accountability and holding yourself accountable for everything that you do, you want to just assume these are your thoughts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we have to be mindful and keep in mind that people are sponges. Like, you could be on the subway and hear a conversation and that sticks to you. You can hear a commercial while you iron them and that sticks to you. You can hear the kids talking about something while you cooking and that sticks to you. Like, you dig what I'm saying? Our mind is constantly downloading things.
Which is why it's not safe to sleep with your TV on and electronics and stuff. Like, there's people that literally put their stones and stuff around their router, because that stuff is still, waves are still coming through. The HBOs and Cinemaxes and all of those things are still coming through. So they say that's why you're supposed to protect your peace when you're sleeping and cut all those things off, so that way things are not having access to you while you're dormant.
Right. Which is happening a lot more than we give credit for. You know what I mean? I think this is why our relationship with ourselves is so important, but having a spiritual relationship with ourselves is so important, because then you're being honest that, like, even us living inside of buildings is blocking, you know what I mean, our signals. And it's blocking information from being like downloaded. Mm-hmm. You dig what I'm saying? And 2, it's like, I always use this analogy, but it's like the game telephone. Like, these messages are bouncing off different things, and that message changes and is distorted every time it's re-signaled from another person. Every time someone has to re-deliver this message, it's different. You know what I mean? It's changed a little bit. So this is why the first thing to do, especially when you're building a relationship with yourself, is get grounded. Take yourself outside, like, and strip yourself of shoes, you know what I mean, socks, as much as you can strip yourself of, or find a place where you can just have no clothes and have complete freedom and autonomy. You know what I mean? Everybody's life is different. So go ahead.
Is it safe to have, well, are you trying to, in that moment, should we try to incorporate as many elements as possible? Like, obviously,
yeah, absolutely. I do for me, you know what I mean? I do what makes me feel the most safe. I do what makes me feel the youngest. Mm-hmm. So I'll take fidgets, toys, things I play with. I got music. I got a snack. You know what I mean? I got water. I have things, and I go to a place that makes me feel young. I'll go be around a lot of huge trees, things that make me feel small. You know what I mean? I'll just go do things that I typically don't do at 3 o'clock at this hour. I'll go take a nap in the grass.
Right,
you know,
but
what I mean?
That speaks to you feeling safe. You know, think
Absolutely.
about the height, like how our parents that towering over us make us feel like they can protect us, they can shield us from everything they can. So that makes sense that if you're going to tap into the most inner parts of you, that when you're getting grounded, that you're actually in a space where you have things that are naturally hovering over you and as signs of protection and covering and safety and security, so that you can be free to let go.
Exactly. And it helps you see things clearly, because a lot of times we're misinterpreting signals and we're misinterpreting the voices in our head. So you think your subconscious is against you, you know what I mean? But it's really just trying to like you would do with somebody sleeping. It's trying to shake you awake. It's trying to scare you out of that dream. You feel me? Because then you get scared into reality. You're so afraid. You're like, oh my, like what's going on? So it's trying to scare you awake. It's not trying to scare you to death. You know what I mean? So when you're experiencing that authority, that respect figure, that towers over you, it eliminates ego. You can't be out there thinking like, oh, I'm the biggest tree in the forest. You dig what I'm saying? It forces you to be humble.
Right.
And this is, to me, these are the signs. This is why people say, you know what I mean? You want the answers, go into nature. Because nature will give you the answers. This also nature isn't just your release. It's not just your waste bin. You dig? You got to go there and learn something. You got to use it. You dig what I'm saying? That's what creates a relationship. It's not one-sided. It's give and take. So when we're working on ourselves, we got to use the lessons from nature. What I learned in nature is slow down. Like everything's moving at its own pace and its own time.
Yes.
A turtle is not trying to be a cheetah. Be you. That's what I get from nature. You know what I mean? Be still. Like just sit. Don't do anything. Don't think. Don't gotta work. Don't fix. Don't change. Don't start fires. Don't put out fires. Don't do anything. You know what I mean?
That was one of the things that I appreciated in Ghana, because I knew I'm over here for, I'm not able to pass by these places every couple of days or every month or so. Like these places are just for this specific timing. And when I was seeing things, whether it was a butterfly or praying mantis or just something happening in nature, it felt like it was lined up just for me. Like the fact that I was so still, the fact that I was so calm, I was able to experience these things and really take pleasure in the fact that, wow, like look at the way the butterfly is floating in front of my face, like slow, like it slowed down. The bee came over, like the other day I had a bee just come right over and just crawl all over my scarf and was like over here on one of my locks. And I was having a conversation with the bee, like, listen, I understand you're trying to communicate something bigger to me, and you're moving too fast where I can't hear you. I can't understand you. I'm not used to your language. But I understand y'all visiting me to tell me something, to bring me a message, to share some knowledge. And I'm just too, even in my most calmest and quiet moments, I'm like, I'm still not quiet enough. I'm still not calm enough, because this is still racing and trying to fix and do, while the rest of me is like, no, we're going to be still and relax. And my brain is like, no, we need to figure out how we going to pay this and get that done. And that. So the shadow work is so helpful for it. For those pockets, even if I can get it for 5 minutes of complete silence, or where I'm not thinking about anything but just emptying out. Yeah. And just, the tree, if I see a tree, okay, let me just think about the tree and how long it's been here, how long it's been standing here, what has it's actually witnessed and seen over the years. That helps me shut down things that ain't really on my plate to fix at that moment, or shouldn't be. It's not my problem. Like, you're here to heal right now.
And these things, to me, strengthen the spiritual relationship. Everything we've been talking about is spirituality. And I think a lot of people have their table set the correct way. The table is just turned. Like, you should be at the head of the table when you're not. You're at the butt of the table. So the table's set, you feel me? And this is why we have to get into nature, because a lot of people are trying to have a better physical life to have a better spiritual experience, but it's the opposite. You should be trying to have a better spiritual experience. It'll alter your physical life. It's the same with nature. A lot of people can't pay respects to their ancestors because they're watching things pass on every day. Like if we think about the bee, you know what I mean? They only live for so long. So they've gone through bloodlines and generations, and we didn't even pay attention to it.
Right.
So why would we honor our ancestors and people who've lived hundreds, 50, 30s, 40s of years before us? You know what I mean? I was just having this conversation the other day. Like, there's people that stubbed their toe before we were even thought of.
Right, exactly.
Before our parents even exist, and they had to deal with that pain. There's people who got their heart broke by the person they loved and had to deal with that pain. Like, how do we pay homage to these people by how we live? You know what I mean? And it starts with us. We have to see those people in us, because when we don't, it's not a priority. We put it that it becomes that thing with the pin in it that we get to later. But to me, your ancestors and where you came from in your past has everything to do with you. Yes. You know what I mean? That's a bigger part to do with you than you think it is. And you better your relationship with them will help you better your relationship with yourself, not in the vice versa.
This is very true. And I want to say hi to the ladies that are in. Thank you for liking and sharing and joining in.
Hey, everybody.
Jessica, Adrian, Cynthia, we appreciate you. Cynthia, all the way from Flint Town, Michigan.
Yo. Give a round of applause.
Yes, but I'm like,
Yeah.
it's sad that we don't honor our ancestors or even think that that's a thing, you know, like
right.
Like we are like in certain religions, obviously they're okay with honoring that storyline,
right?
But the storyline that created you, I think me and my son had did the math, like based on when they say our time existed to me now, it's like thousands of generations that came, thousands of people that had to put a footprint on this earth and do some good relations with somebody to create us over and over and over and over.
You have
again.
to like somebody,
right? Like somebody that later on and share some goodness.
So I've been, thank God, I'm on my Kevin Gates. Thank God I got 2 phones, so I was able to listen.
We didn't even start the bullet points
Yeah,
yet.
thank you. So when you were saying something about misreading signals, right?
Yeah.
And you have this thing that you was like, something's off, but I don't know what it is. Like, I was listening to what Alicia said, we get in our own way by trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes the awakening is just for you.
Yeah.
And we want to force this awakening on our spouse, our kids, or everything like that. I was like, listen, something's off. They could be living their daily lives like, I'm not caring what you're saying. So therefore, you could be like, I mean, it's a constant repelling of a lot of things. You could be bumping your head against the wall. So I was going to ask you, like, when something is off internally, but then you start repelling things and stuff like that, what do you do at that point? Because, you know, at that point, grandmama could turn against you, brother could turn against you, everybody, because that awakening journey is not theirs. It belongs to you. So what happens then?
Then at that point, you have to take the ultimate accountability. Then you have to accept, like, you're the problem. You know what I mean? And what I do is, we did have it, you're right.
Can we hear? Can y'all hear now? I just
took
my mic off. It was him. He came inside down to the whole sound.
We're talking about the frequency here.
He coming back in. Hold on,
listen, because the speaker was out. I got up and the speaker started working immediately. So I don't know what my frequency
sound is good. The lane is still frozen. He's gonna go out and come back in.
Yeah.
Let's get it together. We still here.
It's the phone waking up.
They trying to break up this good knowledge.
This union.
Yeah, and they don't want y'all to get set free with this shadow. And it's so funny that we say shadow work, because, you know, when I first started doing that, someone said, so you lighting candles? Like, what's actually happening? What you tapping into? Like, somebody was so threatened that I said I was going on my shadow work journey and how I went about it.
Mm-hmm. I think that's that word association too. Those
Yeah.
triggers.
And speaking before we get into the bullet points, that was the main thing that I took away from Ghana was communication.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that everyone could speak English, but there's still lack of communication.
Yeah.
And even with them speaking their, we're good now.
There it goes.
Got you.
Speaking their own private languages, they still cannot communicate.
Yeah.
There was still a lack of communication. Like that was the biggest thing that I took away from Ghana was that we all have a level of words that we choose to use to express ourselves, but I should love you enough and care about you enough to be patient with you to help you gain understanding about what I'm trying to communicate effectively. And if I don't, I am the problem in that matter.
Absolutely. And I think 100% what that is ego. You know what I mean? It's the ego saying, well, this is how I'm comfortable communicating. This is how people got to communicate. And to me, love is saying, okay, if we can't communicate this way, let's find another way to communicate.
Right.
Let's communicate with our hands. Let's communicate with pictures. Let's send memes back and forth.
Write a letter.
You know what I mean? Let's try something. Let's not just do anything. And that fits into what Delane asked, what we were talking about. You know what I mean?
Before you answer that,
yeah, go ahead.
Please help me clarify again, because you said, I'm awakened. Things are chaotic around me, but I'm the problem. So explain it, because that's what somebody said is like, Delane, you're the problem. Right. But I'm like, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So what am I doing to be the problem?
It's what we're doing is the form that we're holding. You know what I mean? And that all ties into what Bruce Lee was saying. Like sometimes we're constantly trying to go through things. You know what I mean? And he's like, the issue isn't whether we can go through or not, it's the form that we hold. And we have to be more like water. Like water takes the shape of the vessel around it. It doesn't try to, you know what I mean, change what the vessel is. It fits, it flows, you know what I mean? And he says like water can be calm, but like water can also crash. You dig? Like so we have to be more like water. That means we have to get rid of our ego. We have to stop thinking things are happening to us intentionally and purposely. We gotta stop thinking we're being punished. We got to stop thinking everything, you know what I mean, is a lesson against us. And we got to start realizing things are here to help us. Like things can be chaotic around us and we can still be true to ourselves and growing in our nature. And I can be fine. You know what I mean? That's the connection that we always bring up that a lot of people won't associate with prison. Like everybody in prison is not miserable. Like some people are at peace in there. And some people choose that because that's the only place they find peace.
I've seen that in
Doesn't that say a lot about the world?
Yeah. I've seen that in the Great Debaters. The Great Debaters, the dude was like, I don't care about going to prison. I get to read a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's quieter in there than people think. You know what I mean? So you're forced to think because you don't have to think about time. You don't have to think about bills. You don't have to think about, oh man, they got a gig Saturday. I got to show up. You know what I mean? There's no obligation. You're free. That's true freedom. But that shows you that freedom is within. You dig what I'm saying? That's within.
Before he gets to the bullet points, I want to say hello to my significant other as well. She just got on check-in as well. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing, Mama. Appreciate you.
Oh, look at this smile.
They on here today. They on here today.
So I think here is a good opportunity for us to speak on the relationship with ourselves because this is what's happening now. We've tried everything that we thought was going to work and it didn't work. So then we tried these new things and it starts seeming like it's going to work for us, but it doesn't work for everybody else. So we have to create this version of ourselves that we do shine our light, but there are times where it's a little dim. Where we do speak up, but there's times where we hold our peace. You know what I mean? Where we do, be out the way, but sometimes we show up. Sometimes we come to the party once or twice. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We also have to find compromise because what's happening is we're becoming so high and mighty, you dig, in our knowledge and our omnipotence that it's hard for other people to interact with us. It's hard for other people to relate to us anymore. It's what a lot of celebrities are dealing with. They have so much money and experience and insight. It's hard to be friends with a regular person because they just want to hear about your celebrity.
Dang.
You know what's funny?
I feel like I'm in that shit. Even if I'm not a celebrity, I feel like I'm in that.
I mean, you are in your own right. You know what I mean?
Kanye West breaks this down in Heartbreaks and 808s, right? And it's the song that he has with King Cudi. And he's like, yo, my sister had a graduation for her daughter. And like, I want to go to see my niece's graduation party, but I got a concert and I got two over here. And he's going through the process of, I keep pissing my family off based on my success. Like, you know what I'm saying? But the family doesn't understand, like, you can make time for what you want to. And Kanye was like, you don't understand my life. So he's going through the song with King Cudi, like, I'm torn because I want to do the natural things that are, but my life is not normal.
Right.
And so, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, man, I wanted this success, but now it's at the sacrifice of the person. I'm missing a lot of stuff that I can't get back. And this is what a lot of people go through when they're people of purpose, when they're people of celebrity.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, I wanted this, but damn, I just pissed my whole family off.
And realizing that the other side might not be any better than the side you're on. That's why I just do what I want to do anyway. You know what I mean? Because this is why I have friends, because they give me insight, they give me perspective. They are living a completely different life than I am.
Yeah.
So first I have to secure myself into knowing that and accepting that people don't do what I do. They don't say what I say. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you can actually have friends that you're learning from, growing from. You dig? So for me, I need those perspectives because I have families too who abandoned the career, friends who abandoned the career and chose family. So now the family gotta listen to them cry about not having a career all day. So it's like you gotta pick what suffering you want. You know what I mean? So for me, I just go do what I want to do, and then the grace I give them is like they still, you know what I mean? They're gonna rock with me. It's what makes the movies we had in the hood like so monumental. You know what I mean? When Mitch was like if I leave the game, the fans still gonna love me.
Right.
That hit me differently because I think about that. You know what I mean? Like if I go choose family and I try to come out here and do poetry, anybody gonna show up? Because the greats, you see them doing shows, different nights, different cities. They on it.
Right.
You don't see people at home with their family that they pop out like, hey, and no one cares. You think what I'm saying? You got to pick a lane. So for me, I'm always centered in that family. And again, this is what me and her was talking about. You got to tie in with your ancestors. That's how when you're on your path, you're still serving your family. You're still spending time with your family. You're still honoring your family. But sometimes you got to walk alone. And that's a lot of people's issue right now. They're afraid to take that walk alone. So if you get used to walking alone, it's going to be a breeze. But if you got to walk in these crowds, you dig, it's going to be even harder that day when the universe is like, no one can come. All y'all back up. This is for you.
They're distractions. Because like you said, they may not agree. Just like the family. They may not agree or see your point of view. And then you might start second guessing the revelations that you're getting. So that's why I was like, for me, as I was getting, I had to understand that who am I dealing with? Who are the people that I actually care about that are in my personal space that I'm given an opportunity to speak their piece to me? And once I got clear on that, it was easy to let them be themselves. So my mother will say what she needs to say to have her piece. And I'm like, well, that's my mother. That's how she don't have the understanding. I want her. But then I see little things she'll do like, yeah, you know how she got aluminum-free deodorant, or oh, the shampoo is sulfate-free. So she's listening to the things that I'm saying. Even though I don't see her, she's not doing every single thing that can change and benefit her health, because none of us are perfect. She is still hearing what I'm saying. So I think that the more that I tapped into being me and being comfortable being me, that I'm helping them be set free. Because they see it, like they seen the side of me that wasn't being me, that was timid, that was scared, that was afraid, that wouldn't speak up for herself. Yeah. They seen that.
I used to hate that because I would come home and I would, God rest her soul, my grandmother, I would tell her all these great things like, man, I'm on Power 107.5 and you know what I'm saying, I got on stage with Rick Ross and I did this and I did that. And she's like, boy, get out. I don't know about that. You know?
Or how much money you make.
No, you ain't make that.
You ain't make no money, I don't care.
Or certain, you know, like I'm getting ready to enroll in college, this, that, and the other. And she would just always shut it off. But then if I had a chance to come in the room where she didn't know I was in the house, she'd be on the phone bragging to her girl like, you know he's in college. You know he's doing this, that. So why do we do that as family members? We don't really want to, you know, praise and elevate. But like she said, you know, your family's still listening to you. You know, they won't praise you and give you, you know, the props that people on the outside give you.
And that's an older generational thing. That's something that was taught, you know what I mean, for survival. You know, that's the things that's we're trying to hold on to about slavery that we got to keep reminding us slavery happened.
Yeah.
And you couldn't big up people or make them too good because then they was a target. So you kind of had to downplay what they did.
And,
you know what I mean?
And it's a personal fear. Like,
yeah.
Oh, you going to Ghana? Oh, we heard bad things about Africa. I hope you safe over there. I hope you don't get kidnapped. Like people were, or even for children, like people who are extending their family. I've heard elders try to scare them into like, oh, why would you want to have children in this day and age? That's the terminology that they use.
Yeah.
And it is based on it was based on their day and age when they were having children uncontrollably and not understanding their body or their cycle and not having no support or not having no village and then having so many people look down on this process of life. That fear still lives deep inside of a lot of our ancestors. So as we are continuing, whether you're married, even me, I was married when I had my other 4 children, but it still was not a pleasant thing. Why are you gonna take care of all these kids and you pregnant again and so it's like that fear. It's their own personal fear, and that's why you got to get in tune with self because people will show you what they're afraid of when they're speaking to you.
That cracks me up. I've seen, and I'm just really sidebar. I've seen a person with 1 child struggle, and I've seen a person with 6 kids thrive.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that kid stuff is.
To me, the only difference in those scenarios is the plan. It's the structure. You know what I mean? One person's prepared for it, and the other one's not.
And then what we're created to do, like one of the things I was taught as a birth worker is that there are people that was just made to create and they thrive off of having children. That is their career almost, so to speak. Like that is their thing that brings them a great while. Like you get being on the radio and thousands of people, millions of people hearing your voice and you speaking your poetry and people buying your books. That thrill comes in the same as carrying forth life.
Right.
Okay.
And that to me is, I agree 100%. And that to me is the mindset of it. You know what I mean? It's the same like epitome of marriage. Like and most people that I feel like get into healthy, thriving marriages, they already started looking at you as their spouse the day y'all met, the day y'all started dating. They already started treating you and setting up. You know what I'm saying?
Message.
They didn't wait until you got the ring. They was already doing these things. That's the difference. Like when you're living your purpose. You're doing something you already want to do. I was the same way. Like my first introduction into parenting was my nieces and nephews, but I was already looking at them like they was my kids before I had kids. So I'm like, okay, you got a kid, they crying, you need to figure this out. You know what I mean? Figure out what they want. You gotta communicate with them. Like I'm learning. I'm not waiting till I gotta wait till I have a kid. Nah. Like there's little people around you now that need these lessons. And that's what leads to the greats. Like, that's what leads to the Harriet Tubmans. Like, she probably looked at everyone as her kids. She talked to everyone like her kids.
And her family, too.
You know what I mean?
With the harmony, like, that is one of the things I've seen in Ghana. Like, that harmony of them looking out for other people. Or just children being able to just be about their own business. Yeah. Like, I grew up that way in the 80s in Youngstown, where I can remember being 5, crossing a street that had, like, 5 or 6 lanes. But I knew how to cross the streets without getting hit.
Absolutely.
I knew how to return back home and not talk to strangers or not be, even though I was a child, I did things I wasn't supposed to do. I still knew how to navigate. And our children today, they cannot navigate down the street, let alone back to their house.
But it goes back to what Tim was saying. We put so much fear in these kids. Nobody put fear in us. We just said, hey, I'm going to the carryout. 5 years old. Yeah. Going to the carryout, be right back.
It wasn't strange.
Everybody's jumping off the roof.
Right.
My friend's house was coming up. They was like, it's actually closer to the ground than we thought. So we all went upstairs to her house and was literally just all jumping off the roof. Like, safety, nobody broke nothing. And just
laughing it off.
Yeah. Experiencing life. Like, man, wish we could do parachutes. And we are using our imagination. And we're not only doing that, like when the kids are outside and able to be protected by their village, they are able to pull things out of one another. That true education. Like now you was afraid of frogs or spiders and you saw me pick up one and now you're like, oh, well, if you can do it, which I definitely couldn't. So now we're inspiring on our own levels. Because it's one thing for you as an adult to tell me, oh yeah, you can do anything. You can jump, you can do this, that, and the other. But you're an adult. Of course you're going to say I can do anything. Because I bet you can do it.
Exactly.
But let me see somebody in my equal do these things that you're encouraging and you're trying to inspire me to do. Let them inspire. Let us inspire one another. to do these things that
Yeah.
we know we can do.
And they have to be, and I think this is where so many great things happen and then they just disappear. Because these structures, these game plans have to be maintained. And a lot of people abused it. You know what I mean? When we talk about back in the day, it's funny, but most people only focus on the negative. They don't focus on the good things that happened. The fact that it was, your neighbors up the street could whoop you, but also, again, like we were saying, they made the neighborhood safe.
Exactly.
There also wasn't no weirdos walking around or nobody that ain't supposed to be out here wasn't out here. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You out after dark, they out the window, like, yo, where your mama? Go home. You know what I mean? Like, those were good things, but we didn't nurture them. We started to abuse them. You knew sis up the street watch your kids, so now you just leaving them for everything. You dig what I mean? You know your neighbors got sugar in the lawnmower. Now you borrowing it, ain't giving it back. Like we were abusing those. So now it was the same with Big Mama. A lot of people didn't want to take that road because they knew the real ins and outs. They knew how they were really being treated behind closed doors.
Well, I think one of those things was, although we supported out front the village, right, and that could discipline your child, or we all come together, we also swept a lot of things under the rug, and that was the part that destructed us. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
So while this person in this village was looking out for your kid, this person over here was molesting your child.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? While this person over here was, the neighborhood protector, this person over here was dealing drugs. Right. So you know what I'm saying? You really had these things that were just being swept under the rug, and that's where we're coming to in 2023. Is now. There's nowhere to hide anymore. Yeah, everything is out for exposed. You know what I'm saying?
And that's where I'm at with some of the things that I find out. How do we safely, have the conversation about incest or molestation? Because I literally had a thought. I was driving this morning and I was like, man, I was gonna make a post about people who's violated, especially family members' bodies, but someone that wasn't in the mindset to give full consent on what was happening. And whatever sexual acts, how does the family heal from that? How do we forgive them? How do they forgive and come back into a safe space? And I know that's not part of the topic.
But that's a good question.
But it's a good question because this is why a lot of these words are being overused, like healing, because people aren't knowing how to do it. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody is in context, when somebody says you should heal, I'm like, do you even know what that means? Right. You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm expressing myself or there's something that's hurting me that I'm expressing, oh, you should heal. No, you should stop doing the things that you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So why are we overusing these terms?
Because the terms are broad and literal. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need terms like that. Sometimes we try to be too specific and we try to figure things out. And these terms help us.
Glad you got back on topic because I got a question about
you dig what I mean? Like these terms help us be free because there is no one way to heal. Like you healing from something could be you painting about it.
We had
you healing from something could be you letting it go. You healing from something could be you addressing it on your talk show. Like there is no one way to heal. To me, it's you're focusing on repurposing that energy. That's what healing is to me because you can't destroy energy. You dig what I'm saying? You can only transfer it or release it. So to me, it's just refocusing that because we're so smart. We've seen where it got us. So if we don't, look at how we react to that. You clearly don't want that to happen again. So what your subconscious is saying, find a new way to rework it. And that new way is going to be painful. This is why people run away from healing. Because healing also ain't a sucker from the dentist, them saying everything's all right now. No.
And I don't know how healthy it is not because I was listening in the break room that, you have to stay still and listen for your answers. But then I was listening to Walisha, was like, sometimes that overwhelming or that painful feeling is like, man, I got to fix this because this is uncomfortable. I don't like this. You know what I'm saying? So the staying still part is what's most uncomfortable to listen or waiting for your answers. Yeah. Because I did write a post today. I was like, when you're unclear, you ask your higher power to either remove it or, reveal it. What's the understanding part? But sometimes there's a wait process even for that answer. And a lot of times we just are impatient to get that answer. But then there's a victory in staying still. And sometimes you have to hear things several times. But even as you said it, sometimes you have to stay still. I was like, no, because I want this pain out of the way. You know what I'm saying? I want my mentality clear so I can move forward in my purpose.
But that's the healing. You know what I mean? Because it's your attachment to what's happening. That's what's wrong. That's the problem. you're expecting an outcome. That's the only reason you will wait for it. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
if I take the bar exam and I knew I passed, I wouldn't. It doesn't matter when you send the email. Why would I have to wait around for some results I already know is gonna happen? The only person that's worried about a test is someone that didn't study. So the fact that you're worried is just you holding yourself accountable for, I'm not prepared for this. I'm accepting this moment. I'm telling them, yeah, I'll take the job, but I don't even know how I'm gonna get to work. I'm not prepared for this.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by you can't lie to yourself. You're not slicker than the universe. It knows everything about you. So you might as well just submit and realize, okay, I did everything I could do. So there's no need to worry about the results. I just need to start preparing for every possible income for the results instead of waiting. To me, that's healing. You're repurposing that energy, but that's going to hurt more. That's the point of healing. I'm dealing with it now. Your trauma is the bully at school saying, at 3 o'clock in the parking lot. And the reason they want so much time to wait, because they want you beating yourself up on the inside. They want to intimidate Mike Tyson. I intimidated them before the fight even started. They had already lost.
Yeah.
That's what they want to happen. So for me, I'm coming to your class. No, we're going to do it right now. Because most time in that situation, there was never even a fight. They're like, oh, he crazy. He want to fight. Yeah, because they want to also build their confidence. That's why they're giving so much time. So I do those things. You don't always have to wait. Again, this is why we have to be able to read through these situations. If someone's giving me a business deal and it just don't feel right, I'm cool. I'm Shark Tank. Like, I'm out. For that reason, I'm out.
Yeah.
You can still talk business with them, but I heard something and you said this, I'm out. I'm cool.
And so,
You know what I mean?
and there's a healthy approach to it, but then there's an unhealthy approach to it, because that's how I dealt with things all my life. Is like, I always have the ability to walk away. And then one day, recently, I said, well, walking away, are you walking away or are you running?
Yeah.
And if you're running, then that's not a good
What
thing.
are you running from?
What are you running from? So then I learned, I said, you know what? Whatever comes my way. This is just recently. This ain't no old shit. This is new. Like,
Everything.
how do I react to it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because basically, how do I not relinquish my power to this thing that's in front of me? And that's where my power came from. It was like, okay, let me not react to it this way.
And to me, it's becoming aware of the world. This is why traveling is so important. This is why not just talking to people who speak other languages, but talking to people who speak different walks of life. Because you'll hear ancient sayings like, there's nothing new under the sun, which is true. If you really get to know people, you realize people ain't so different as we portray to be. There's only a few different types of people. You dig what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you just got to get to know those core types of people. This is why a lot of people struggle with their family, because your family is all you know. That's the only perspective you have.
Right.
And this is why we change to our family when we get friends. They're like, oh, you acting different.
Right.
I know things now, bro. I know things now. You didn't know I knew. You dig? But that's a blessing, because now I can teach those things. Education is not, that's why a lot of people are in trouble now. They're hoarding things. Education is not meant to be hoarded. It's meant to be shared. Everything I learned is meant to be given. It's a gift. I didn't get this for me to get the chicks or get the job. I got this because now I can give something to the world. There's a reason for me to live tomorrow. I got one thing I can give to somebody.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying?
And that's sad that they, how they do with education, because I was taught that true education is what's already on the inside of us.
Mm-hmm.
The people that we come in contact with reminds us and brings it out. Then we're able to express it and be like, oh yeah, I know 1 + 1 is 2. Like,
Well, it comes from the Latin word educo, which means it starts within.
Yeah.
So so that's definitely dope. You're on point.
But all of these things, that's what we were talking about when you got your tea. Like, there's so many things blocking us. And this is why sometimes we can be at peace, but the world around us is more chaotic than we remember, than we can tell. And it's because we're starting to become more aware of those blockages. We're starting to become more aware of those singular words people use that trigger us. We're starting to become more aware of the passive aggression that be coming in these emails. Like, hold up, who is you talking to? You know what I mean? And we can't unsee that. That's what I heard when Walisha was talking about courage. This is the courage that a lot of people are struggling with, and they see themselves. That's why I won't just jump out and say people don't love themselves. Like, nah, there's knowing yourself, and then there's still a practical world that's happening around you.
yeah.
So I can be comfortable with my changes, but I still got to have the courage for everyone else to experience this change, because they're going to experience it. They're going to treat me differently, even if they don't feel like they are. They're going to hesitate on certain jokes. They're going, you know what I mean? And my safe space, my best life is you 100% comfortable with me. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I get in a car accident, I'm upbeat about it, tell you a joke. I ain't gonna say that, bro. But nah, tell you a joke. Like, you should be able to be yourself. That's the security I gain within myself. Nothing I do should stop you from being you. If it is, I'm the problem. Because I can't be telling you the goal is to be yourself, and then I have all these parts of me that force you to change.
Right.
I'm too aggressive. I'm
That's
too
me,
loud.
like,
I'm too abrasive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I have to relinquish those things. You dig? Like, that's a part of our healing. This is now protecting myself, my own peace from me. Because sometimes we come too big for our own britches.
Yeah.
Sometimes we trying to boss ourselves around. We trying to manipulate ourselves now because we got so good at it. Because so many people, we got them fooled. You dig what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's our ego. The fact that you even think you got to fool people, or that they're fooled by you, that they don't see through you. The kindness of them just doesn't speak on it.
But that's what cracks me up. Is like everybody walking around like they tough.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, I know you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You really ain't that tough. You know what I'm saying?
Scared.
But you know, now that we have access to weapons and all this stuff like that, people just feel like, man, you know, and like you said, it's really that they're scared.
Yeah.
Can you see me? Can you really see what's on the inside of me? You know what I'm saying? And that's what's sad.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. Let me bring this little analogy in. Falling asleep is probably the worst thing that people can do and get caught doing it. Do you realize how overprotective we are when we're sleeping? And as a child, go ahead upstairs to your room. I wasn't asleep, Mom. Or even as an adult, change the channel. I wasn't asleep. Was watching that. Like, or why did you leave me here? I was like, it's when we're caught off guard, when we're not aware, and this is even while we're awake, and someone brings something, we have that same response to that life situation.
Yeah.
And I love how you say that, is because this is why you have to treat people, the golden rule. You have to treat people as you would treat yourself. Yeah. Because anytime, like you said, your ego gets in the way and you feel like you're above somebody, especially like when I see, you know, husbands abusing their wives or, you know, their kids or something like that. It was like, do you know the tables can turn? You have to go to sleep. This woman, you're vulnerable at some point. Your kids grow up. They don't stay little forever. Yeah. And they remember the stuff that you do. So it's like, I don't see how people let their ego get in the way. Like, I'm this big, strong person, and mistreat people because, like you said, something as simple as sleep, you're vulnerable at this point.
And I mean that in a way, right? Yeah, I mean that in a way of how like, I can remember my son, whenever I would catch him sleep, he had such an attitude that he was caught sleeping.
Yeah.
That I had to wake him up, that I had to ask him to go to his bed. And he just had such an attitude. All the children, even now, the boys mainly, the girls not so much.
That happens to my kids too.
Yeah. But I'm saying that in the physical awake form is the same attitude we have when someone is calling us out on us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Vulnerable.
It's
vulnerability.
Ego.
We say the same thing. It's vulnerability. You are vulnerable. You know what I mean?
It's all of that. It's ego. Like it's embarrassment. And embarrassment is ego. You know what I mean? Embarrassment. Think about like being embarrassed. Like what that suggests. You feel what I'm saying? Like you're perceiving to someone else that you made a mistake through their eyes and how they view the world.
And you then
dig what I'm saying?
Put in a feel like you're putting something over them based on the way you feel, like you're making them basically saying, hey, you need to react and think this way about me because this is the way I feel inside about what I did.
Exactly. But go ahead. No, I was gonna say I had to change that, and that was something that's how I got into psychology, because like dealing with autism, I had to force myself to get these kind of things. And I deal with so many embarrassing situations. Like I had to just deal with the catalyst, which is just don't be embarrassed. You feel me? Fart, trip in public, dude. Like just laugh it off. Don't be embarrassed. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's just that simple.
but this is why understanding empathy though is dope. But like you said, understanding empathy is dope because at that moment, understand he had in his mind, I'm gonna stay up all night. When you challenge people's beliefs or who they are, challenge who they are. Because I've seen people get broke down. Like you said, everybody a gangster until a gangster walks in the room. And when a gangster walks in the room, like, you ain't that tough. Right. Now you expose this person. Now he want to go be bigger than what he is. I'm saying, like, when you challenge somebody's belief of what they have inside, your child's like, I'm going to be up all night. I'm going to do this. Are you asleep? I wasn't sleeping on that. You challenge what they've had on the inside. But like you said, when you come to the terms of yourself and you remove that ego out of the way, it's like, you know what, I was
Yeah.
asleep.
Yeah, because there's nothing to worry about. And that's why we have to be students of life, because then we'll be picking up on these things. This is why adolescents, no matter what generation, this is why they're upset about the elders. You know what I mean? Because they want to learn life. And at some point, we got to realize people didn't even go to school. Like, school is still relatively a new concept.
Right.
Yeah.
So for us to put so much pressure on school and so much emphasis on school, that's a back end. That's what Alicia was talking about. Like, there's a bunch of people in this country speaking English, but they're all speaking their different kind of English.
Yeah.
And that's what school was for us. That's what we were learning. The kids learn differently. Johnny needs puppets. They need blocks. I can use fingers. Somebody can just use writing on the board. Somebody can just learn from your voice.
Right.
So now this is the $1 million question. When we are getting this advice, do we consider the source?
Yeah, you have to consider the source. I mean, naturally we consider the source. That's why I say when it comes to parenting, it's a lot easier for your kids to listen to you when they respect you. It's a lot different when they love you, how they're hearing you. Yeah. So we're like that as people. We tune out things we don't like, and things that we think we like, we listen in even closer. We trying to get information. So naturally, I think, yeah, 100%. I think that's why the relationship with yourself comes first. So then we can have a relationship, and then me and Delane starts to communicate. But a lot of how we were raised is just communication, and that's it. There is no point for the relationship. It's communication, and I pay all the bills, and I do this for you, so you need to communicate with me. What about the relationship? We don't have to have a relationship to communicate, but you don't want me talking to strangers, right? That offer me candy to get in the van. How is that any different than what you're doing?
Because we share the same blood.
Yeah, that's the only excuse, because we got the same grandma. Yeah. I don't think that's a good enough reason. I think there should be another level, because now we're getting back to why all this happened. It's because of us. It's because we removed the source. We turned the table. We start saying, I'm going to be better people to get into with nature instead of getting into with nature to become better people. We're trying to do earth without nature. And nature takes up, it is earth. You dig what I'm saying? That's a consciousness. That's a whole being. That's a body that we don't respect. So why would we respect the lives we have? We are so out of touch with nature. And this is, for myself, this is one of the ways I go get grounded, because it's a remembrance. You know what I mean? Like, my kids will tell you, like, I'm the Lion King. Like, butterflies will just like fly up on me. And it's because of what I admit. You know what I mean? They feel it. Like, I'll argue with sis over killing spiders. Like, I protect nature.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I let them outside. I protect nature. I feed into nature. I try not to litter. I try not to poison it. I try to pour things into it. I try to eat healthy. That helps nature. Your waste is helping other things grow. You dig what I'm saying? So this is now loving yourself. This is the ultimate pinnacle. But a coach said to me that forever stick with me. Like, you play the game the way you live your life. He said, if you're out there at home with your mom and you're not doing your chores, you're not listening, you're not being respectful, there's no way I think you're going to come in here, you're going to touch the lines, you're not going to cut corners, you're going to pick your brothers up when they fall, when they die, you're going to make the hard play. There's no way I think you're going to do that. You are what you do. So if you want to better things, you have to be a better person. It has to start with you. And we got to first start dissecting, doing our shadow work. How do you talk to you? Oh, man, I can't get nothing right. I don't talk to myself like, you would never hear me talking to myself like that. Oh, you just can't do nothing. You would never hear me. Not even in that tone do you hear me talking to myself. That's
why I love my man Smart.
You dig what I'm saying?
A thought becomes a feeling becomes an emotion becomes a vibration becomes a magnet. So you are talking to the person you're becoming now. So therefore, when I talk to myself now, this is why I react different. Because I'm like, yo, I'm not this guy from last week. Yeah. I'm not this guy from a month ago. I'm not, because I've learned from my mistakes. So I'm only having thoughts right now. I was like, okay, this didn't serve me. This reaction didn't serve me, or this reaction caused me to look foolish. So now, okay, now I am calm. Now I'm not so emotional. Now I'm telling myself this. Now I am rational. So therefore, when I see something I don't like, all I have to say is, you know what? I don't like that. But I don't have to over-explain anymore. Like, right. I'm gonna let it work itself out. But I can remove myself from the situation. But all I have to say is, I don't like that.
You freed yourself,
and I'm done.
which is a universal gift, because now we can get on with our lives.
Right.
And when you over analytical and you like to discuss things, I've been in discussions with people for 2 hours, and I still feel like they don't understand what I'm trying to say. And I've kind of lost more myself.
hungry, I realized it was a waste of my time.
Yeah.
And it's like, dang, you
ain't have to
starved
do
me.
all that.
You starved me. You stole from me. You stole my time and energy, and you starved me. Like, that's not cool.
And it seems like you kind of feel better. You
Right.
seem in a better mood, and I feel
because
down here.
I understand that the tantrums and the outbursts caused the fearful reaction, but it never left the respect.
Yeah.
The respect was gone. So therefore, even afterwards, you still didn't get what you wanted.
Yeah.
Because that person's not treating you the same. That person is not talking you the same.
Yeah.
Because you really offended this person. You really hurt this person. So I was like, man, I got to move a little different.
Yeah.
Because the outburst, they get your way.
Because it was accountability. Because the only true problem is, in the hard truth that you get to the end of those end of those discussions was the respect ever there?
Yeah.
And that's hard, because you got to really look back and, like, you know what I mean? Try to think of 2 years ago today. That's impossible.
Yeah.
So you gotta, what I do in that moment is, again, I'll be water. I'm like, okay, don't worry about why they attacked your village. Why are your defenses so weak? It's time to up the defenses. It's trying to get around new people. I'm manifesting. It's time to get new friends that are engineers, new friends that understand defenses. Oh, you used to work for Fort Knox? Oh, yeah, come on. Hey, pal, you did? I'm having a cookout. Like, let's talk defenses.
Right.
But that's where I protect my own peace, because I don't enter into agreements that I would never enter into.
Right.
So when they get to that cookout, I don't promise them this luxurious friendship. I'm like, look, I'm trying to better my defenses. I know that's something you do. If you don't want to help me because you want the friendship, I'll understand. I'll keep looking. But if you can help me in this, if you need a favor down the road, we got a bread factory, you need bread, I got you. You dig what I mean? But I don't do things I'm not prepared to do, and that's protecting our own peace.
Geronimo and Adrian dropped some megaton
Yeah,
bombs for you, Tim. Go ahead.
So the comments, Geronimo says, is communication still key? And if so, the key to what? I ask myself these questions daily. So that's one, and then we can go on.
Yeah, I'll get to the first one. So communication is key, because communication interrupts confusion. Confusion is the enemy. Confusion is the op. Confusion is the problem. You dig what I mean? And there's only two trains of thoughts. This is how I have to look at it. If you're not choosing connection with me, you're choosing disconnection. So communication could be anything. Communication is me getting up, taking the trash out, because yesterday you like, damn, there's something stinking here. But you didn't want to make me feel like I'm not doing my manly duties. So communication is when you fall asleep, I go take the trash out, change it. Mm-hmm. That's simple. There's no confusion. You don't got to wake up you can actually wake up now like, oh, I got my house. My house smells good. Mm-hmm. So it's not always like they say, like, speaking is actually a lower level of communication.
Right.
That's not communication. It's a part, but it's not the only communication.
Go ahead.
You only have to talk because there's no understanding.
Exactly.
If I come up in here and I know we got a show, I know I got to get set up, I know I got to be here at a certain time. Y'all have already communicated everything I need to know. I got the bullet points. Of course, I got to talk because that's what we have to do. We got to explain to people. But in terms of what I needed to do for coming here, I already had that.
Mm-hmm. You know what's funny is Nipsey Hussle said, I kept myself excellent because I don't want nobody telling me nothing.
There you go.
I keep myself excellent. So I keep myself on time. I keep myself pristine. I keep knowledge in my head. I want to be knowledgeable about the conversation because I don't want people to make me feel this way. Now, I don't know if that's healthy or not, but I know that that's what he wanted for himself. Is like, I don't want nobody telling me nothing.
It's very healthy. It fits along the same lines to where we all agree we've been in a 2-hour conversation we shouldn't have been in. So it works the same way in another variable. Now that I did those things for 2 hours, Lane can come home and kick his feet and chill. He ain't got to pick up after me, his son, for 2 hours. Yeah. He can enjoy his life. That's me communicating with him saying, yo, Lane, your time is valuable. But if I always got you cleaning up after me, I'm communicating this is your time. This is what I think you need to be doing every day. Oh. So that's why I better myself. That's why I find better ways to say things. It's not because I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I mean, you know what I mean? You want to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs sometimes. Yeah. Things happen. You want to learn a lesson, you got to hit your head sometimes. Things happen. But I'm saying this so in the future now, I seen how that made you feel. I don't like that. Mm. So now I'm going to not avoid that. I'm going to correct it. I'm going to communicate. I'm going to deal with it. Sometimes that's the communication, the declaration. Yo, Lane, I'm not going to make those kind of jokes anymore. You know what I mean? That's the only communication. Now, I gotta show you. You feel what I'm saying? So people want to get wrapped up in the words. That's why I be so against the tone. Because you getting wrapped up in the wrong thing sometimes. Sometimes we just got to get down to the brass tacks. Do you understand?
Right.
And I can't
Why
expect
you
to understand if I didn't communicate properly. That's my accountability. I can't expect no one in the world to understand me if I'm not communicating properly. So I can't just be talking gibberish and getting frustrated because y'all don't get it. That's what a lot of people are doing. They're talking at people.
Yes.
So then learn to respect and talk with yourself, so then you'll know when someone's talking at you or with you. Like, and then I have the peace and stillness. I'm gonna let you talk. Go ahead.
Right.
I don't have to argue with you. I don't have to disprove what you believe, because I'm not trying to refute you to what I believe. I'm trying to show you I can think this, you can think that, and we can still be civilized human beings. We can still treat each other like we mean something. You dig what I'm saying?
So what's the difference between a force and just a caveat or bump in the road?
A force is when so to me, it's always that one time. Everybody, like they say with Spider-Man, everybody got that one. I'm gonna save you once. So the first time, I'm going to assume you didn't know any better. Mm-hmm. So when you start to repeat, when I see the repetition, the consistency, you're forcing it. You don't know how to read people. You shouldn't engage conversations like this. But if I'm starting to be aggressive and I can feel you backing down, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to stop. If I'm fighting somebody and they're not fighting back, I'm going to stop. I've never beat nobody up that wasn't fighting back. Once I see you doing this, I'm done. Because now I'm forcing you to do what I want you to do when you're showing me I don't want no parts of this. So there has to be, this is where warriors, this is where people in the gangsters, this is how they survived as long as they did in their ways, because there has to be an ounce of respect, even for your enemies. There has to be some respect. And the reason there's no respect for them is because you don't respect yourself at all. So when you learn respect for yourself, you'll respect human beings, you'll respect caterpillars. Yeah. But there has to be some respect in you. That's why I recycle. Not because I'm a better person, because I need to respect. This earth gives me everything that I have.
Right.
I wouldn't have nothing on the moon. Nothing, none of this, we wouldn't have this. Yeah, for sure. And I gotta show some respect in my life. You know what I mean?
And I just feel like you said, when people aren't ready for that job, and they feel exposed, but they're gonna force themselves, like, because I like the pay or I like this, that, the other. They force themselves in a relationship knowing that you're not fully healed. This is why it's like neither one of you are bad people. It's just like you're forcing it because you're not where you need to be for that harmonious thing to happen. You're not where you need to be skill-wise for that job or whatever level that you're trying to get to. You're not ready to put the ding-dongs down to lose weight.
Exactly. And there's hope because the moment that you realize the things that you're saying, that is a step to healing. Like that is a step to be like, okay, I have peace. Because I used to always ask myself, how do I know if I'm healed? Yeah. How I had tons of stuff happen to me in my past, before my marriage, during my marriage, afterwards. How do I properly go about healing? I think me and you had this conversation several times where he was just like, well, you heal people by healing, like you heal yourself by healing other people. So the more people you can share your truth with, the more that you can help them gain an understanding about their own situation, that is healing you. And tapping into my part, right? Mm-hmm. That was a big part of my healing, was like, what part did I play? Yeah, I got divorced, and it wasn't one side. It was two people in a marriage. What part did I play?
That accountability.
And that it hit me hard, because it was like, yeah, I probably would have did some things to me too, because I had an attitude with self. Like it was really directed towards other people, but it was here. It was started here within me. Mm-hmm. Like it was all me, because I kept on. I think when I got grounded and I started my shadow work, it was more so like, why am I angry? Like, I'm so pleasant and happy around these other situations and these other things, but then I get to a certain situation and I'm just like, ugh. And I seen myself one time and I did not like what I seen. I heard my voice. I did not like what I heard. Like this type of energy is reserved for somebody I want to end their life. And I shouldn't be speaking to nobody like this that I love or that I care about or that's in proximity. Like, I should not reserve that tone for them.
Right. And it's so funny. It's like, when we force these things, it reminds me of being, a little kid at the fun house. You got that thing that goes up and down, like, and the dude's on the other end, like, it don't stop. Either you got to get off, you got to do something. You can't force it. It doesn't stop. So you can force yourself to want it to stop. This thing don't stop. So this is what the force does, is like the force thinks, I can force it. No, the pain is still going to be there until you do something, until you get off or you go through.
Right. It doesn't even have to show up as pain. Like, I think that our interpretation says, hey, do you want to take this as a dose of pain? Like some things do hurt. Some things
Yeah.
are painful, but I think that when you see your part, it's easier not to beat yourself up. It's easier not to be like saying, like you said, speaking to yourself a certain way. So I think that is key. And okay, what happened? Okay, there was an argument. Okay, they said this and I said that, and this is what really matters. You know what I'm saying? Because then, the more you peel that back and dig deep to that, your freedom is in there. Because like you said, I'm not arguing with people that are. First of all, if I already see you ain't on my level, the conversation that we're gonna have is gonna be very limited, and you're gonna get more smiles than words out my mouth. Right, exactly.
Nice.
But because we learn how to reserve our energy and allow you to use your energy
do whatever
how you want to.
do.
Meanwhile, we're over here in Happy Land.
I had an antagonist last night. I'm seeing this tag, and I'm just seeing all these antagonizing words and emojis, and I can't even see the content. So I just screenshot. I was like, obviously, I wasn't meant to see this, but God bless you anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you said, I had to laugh at it. Like 2 weeks ago, this would have got me pissed off. But now it's like
the growth.
The growth is like,
because it says,
we don't praise growth.
This is the accountability of how we have to turn the tables on people. You know what I mean? This is why I say, like, what you think you're saying about me says everything about you. It says nothing about me, because I understand things you don't. Like, and the reason you're handling things like this is because you don't have enough tools. You don't have enough coping mechanisms. A person who only has a hammer looks at every problem as a nail. You dig what I'm saying? So this is why not just being spiritual, being knowledgeable comes with a responsibility. This is why everybody can't get in. This is why everybody doesn't want to pay the price of admission. And it's because that there is always going to be a sense of pain. But like she said, like, you have to change what you think pain is. And then your quality of life is how much pain it is. You dig what I mean? Is your world constantly falling on you? Or is the worst thing is the prick on your finger this week? You know what I mean? Is the worst pain you go through a tattoo? Because some people like that pain. Some people enjoy the pain. You know what I mean? Because it's a way that they've learned to heal. They've learned to repurpose. Instead of me making other people feel pain, give me the pain. If y'all telling me I got to get paid out in the week, give it to me Monday. Let me have my weekend.
It's so funny. Y'all ever see, there's two reels. The first one is the toddler that's in the baby pool, and he think he drowning. And the dad just standing up. It's like, it's no problem. But then there's the one where, this is the one that's pertaining to what you guys are talking about. The kid has his head stuck in the rails of the thing. So mom comes, he's going, mom comes along and pops his head out. 5 seconds later, puts his head right back. You want this. You know what I'm saying? So this is your idea. You want to feel this.
Or I want to figure out how to get out. Because you, as my elder, as my God, I see you to be, you just pop me out. And you're not in fear. You're not afraid. You're not showing no signs.
They didn't learn from your way of doing things.
Right. So I'm doing this again because I'm trying to mimic you. I'm trying to.
What if you're not around?
Free.
I never looked at it like that. That's a different perspective of it.
I'm not really trying to be ornery and be disrespectful. I am trying to navigate this life as an individual. So you tell me the stove is hot. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me see. Okay. Yeah, he was right.
How hot?
Hot.
Never looked at it, because I'm looking at the child like, what's wrong with you? Do you want to be there?
Like, mind you, children, they only been on Earth so many years. I'm about to be 41 here in 14 days. I still do. I still have not comprehended things that I want to understand deeply to navigate this life, navigate the Earth. There's so many things that I lack understanding of, and people assume, oh, you've been here, oh, you've done that, you must know. Well, clearly, if it ain't done, I do not know.
And that's what I want to address Tim. When you know you've done the work, and then you look at a situation like, damn, how did I end up here again? Did I not learn my lesson? Or what's the problem? Like,
I'll definitely answer that. Yeah. And then we'll get to Adrian's question. But when it comes to that, that's when you gotta submit. You gotta relinquish control. You gotta relinquish your ego and say, yes, even I may be done with this lesson, but the lesson ain't done with me yet. You feel what I'm saying? And that's where we get it to in life. To me, that's quitting. That's giving up. Deciding, well, I'm just done. But what if like what if it ain't done with you? And that's why I do things to completion. Completion means everything's checked off. It's completed.
Ooh.
You feel me? And sometimes we just want to be finished. We want to be done. This is now a communication with ourselves, even the words we use to other people. Because we be in our own head, like, man, you full of shit. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
Why do you say stop lying to them? Yeah, bro, the party was lit Wednesday. It was strippers, Cardi BK. And we just keep going because we trying to impress other people because of the outside world.
Okay.
In your outside world, your environment should never compromise who you are. That means you need a new environment. You know what I mean? And sometimes we have to realize at the end of the day, that's why I take my pain on Monday with my tea. This is why I want to assume I'm the problem. You know what I mean? And because then I start trying to fix the problem. But if you don't think anything's wrong, you're not looking for a solution. You're going to keep things how they are. So sometimes the problem is our comfort.
Yeah.
You dig? Like, I had to realize one day, because I didn't know how to grow. I'm like, how do I grow?
$1 million question.
So the first thing that came to my mind was like, okay, well, a person that you're trying to grow into wouldn't have all these little fears. So you got to start facing your fears.
Sure.
One was height, swimming, practical fear. Things a lot of the dark. No more nightlight, no more training wheels. You got to start facing your fears. So I started with the pool. And this is when I realized your self-advancement is the fulfillment. Sometimes it is good having a team, but you got to walk alone, you dig? So I was afraid of the diving board because of heights, because of the swimming, for various reasons. Those are intimidating. Right. So I would get to the top, and I had really good friends. I didn't know it at the time, but I had really good friends. They gonna toss me in, like, bro, you gotta get used to it. Yeah. So they're thinking in their head, this is a good thing, but my subconscious is pissed. I'm getting out the pool, like, yo, what? I'm ready to fight. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
So as many times as they throw you in the pool, you just don't learn, because the journey is you gotta walk that ladder. You got to walk yourself up. You got to jump. It has to be intentional. Okay. You know what I mean? It can't be, you can't scare yourself into greatness. You can't shock yourself into greatness. You have to plan for greatness. You feel me? So I had to get up. I did it that one time, and it was cool. We were able to have a better relationship because now y'all don't got to babysit me in the pool. Yeah. The lifeguard get to stay asleep. You ain't got to wake up. You know what I mean? Yeah. I get to have fun with my friends. I get to be a part of the crowd. I get to be a part of the boys. I did it. You know what I mean? You did it for yourself. We're going to remember this day the rest of our lives, but y'all been throwing me in here for 2 years, and we didn't get it. It's because I had to do it on my own.
And going to Adrian, I just want to confirm or piggyback what he said. This is why you can't force someone to do something that they don't want to do, because basically it's going to be a lot of resentment behind that. But when they do it out of the kindness and you just say still and let that growth happen. Yeah. Because I always thought, man, I want you to do this, but it's like, man, you got to take, like you said, you got to take away the control. Yeah. And let it happen.
You could have asked for help for sure. Hey, y'all, I think this is going to help me if y'all throw me in, and I'll just try to whatever. You could have asked for help. But what you was requiring for them was just their presence. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You didn't need them to, and that's what I think, learning yourself, you'll learn how to assert yourself into other people's lives. Yeah. Like, you may not need me to call you every day, but I can feel when you need me to call you, and I can feel when you need me to tap in and be like, yo, bro, I'm so proud of you.
But to me, that is a good friend. It's not whatever you did. You feel me? It's what you're prepared to do. That's why, again, I say I like taking that on Monday. I like that they just threw me in, because now in my mind, I know if I ever get to the point where I'm too afraid to jump in, I got good friends that's going to make sure I jump in. Hold you accountable. You dig what I'm saying? So in that moment, they didn't understand. They thought me getting it was their good deed, their mitzvah. But no, it was just the fact that you showed me you're going to be on the front line. Yeah. Right? That's what I need. That's why these people's streets become the family, because they're on the front line for you. Yeah. They ain't even blood, and they up at the school arguing with the principal. If my son ain't getting a good education, they on the front line for you.
Into Adrian's question.
Well, can you do this for me?
Yes, sorry.
Can you read Adrian's question? I want to preface it and then have Tim bring it home, because this is personal for me, so I want Tim to read it
because I haven't seen it.
Okay, I did have something to add on it, but yeah, let me say. So, what if it's not your voice speaking to you like that? When we're talking about grounding and that and the other, what if it's voices that were placed there when you were a child and soaked all of that in? So I can start. And then
please swing it this way, and then he'll bring it home.
I guess it's, to me, I've dealt with that on a personal level, and I think it tied into who I was serving, and not necessarily the God or the universe or, you know, any religion, but was I serving myself? Was I actually in tune with myself, like to the point where I knew what I needed? I knew that I was unhealthy in this area, or I knew these other things that put me in a mind space of when I would hear voices, it was easy to just go with the flow because I was already cleansing, I was already healing. But when I wasn't in that mindset, I was hearing all types of crazy things that was like, how do I weigh this? How do I line this up? And so I think that the more that I was on my personal journey, it was easier to relinquish the things that was not for me. And I think naturally you're going to hear things because the way that we're designed and the way that we're made up, there's things that are floating, waves that are floating. There's all types of signals and things that's passing through our body without our knowledge. So you're going to hear crazy thoughts, insane thoughts, but where you are in your journey is going to help you navigate to act on those or be like, let me replace that with something else. Like I heard jump off the roof of a tall building or whatever, something bizarre and crazy. And I want to replace that with, no, how about you go for a jog to relieve this energy? How about we go for a walk? Or how about you call somebody to go walk at the mall or something like that? We're replacing it. So yeah, you heard the thoughts, but you're being accountable to your thoughts, accountable to what you hear, and measuring up to what you want out of life. If you don't want no life, then yeah, let's take a trip to the top of the building.
Right.
Which
Exactly.
Tim's going to have to put a pin in what
Yes.
you said, because I looked at it a different way. So he's going to have to answer this
Go
two
ahead.
ways, right?
Go ahead.
So we're going to have to put a bookmark in that because you spun this
And I'll just
in a way.
because I like what she
I
said.
like exactly what she said because I love it.
I wanna see what she
But
does.
what I was going to say is something completely different, because the voices in my head as a child, going back to generational curses, my family, from my grandmother to my great grandfather, they had a mentality of getting over from a street standpoint, getting over just, you know what I'm saying? Now, getting your accomplishing goals accomplished. So this is 2-3 generations before me. I come along and I have the sense of what they think is gullibleness, but I look at the world through compassionate eyes, empathetic eyes. I don't have this street about me. I don't have this hustle about me. It's just like, hey, everybody, hey, y'all want all my popsicles? Okay, cool. You know, you know what I'm saying?
And
It's just,
it's funny that you said that because you literally do it.
like, yo, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I want everybody to have a good time. I want everybody, if you know what I'm saying, why should I be the only one with this and that? And it's like, well then even, you know, passing down the criminal element to my siblings, and I don't get it. I'm just like, why would we do something like this? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So always feeling like a certain outcast, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, you are so gullible. But I wasn't gullible. It was just like I had a certain way of thinking. I had empathy. If I seen, you know what I'm saying, some dude getting his ass beat, listen, hey, bro, let's not do that. You're like, oh, you're gonna get your ass beat too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, exactly. So, you know, having this, it was just like always on the outside. Delane, you're gullible. Delane, you're this, you're that, you're too nice, you're too this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So now it like she said, the childhood voices, I'm not good enough, or I'm not fast enough, I'm not smart enough. Knowing that I'm getting better grades than all my siblings. I'm doing this on this side, but I don't have this street element. So what if the voices thinking that you're deficient? You're really shining. I love the story in the Bible, Joseph in the coat of many colors, because as his brothers were, you know, soldiers, and they were, you know what I'm saying, favored, he was like, you know, the weakest of them. But then as he grew to be the greatest of them. And that's why the Bible says, you know what I'm saying, the least of them will be the greatest of them, because I'm taking this person in a different direction. But through these childhood voices, you were like, you're not good enough, or you're not this, you're not that. So you listen to these voices knowing that you are a king. You're just a king in a different way. So how do you, as you grow, listen to that voice that knows that I was just taken in a different direction?
So I like what everybody said. That was a good question. With Walisha, that always has to be the focal point. Like, you have to start changing your mindset. You know, Albert Einstein said it perfectly. Like, you can't solve a problem with the same thinking you use to create the problem. And that's what's happening to a lot of people. I've seen that in a lot of people's success stories I've experienced. They resented their dad all the way to the Olympic gold medal. But you use that as power for so long. So you can't destroy it. These things that happen to us never go away. You know what I mean? Some things stick to you. How I like to look at them is it's a scar. And what's happening is a lot of people are putting ointment on the scars. They mentally still think the wound is open, and our mind can create pain. Our mind can make that happen if that's what you want to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because we haven't let go what happened. We haven't gotten closure yet. We haven't accepted what happened to us. Because we think we put all these good, nickels in a good sin cup, like we should be good. Like, why, come on, God, like what we doing? And it makes us hard to believe in God. It makes us hard to believe in things. Because one of our biggest truths is a lie. Nothing bad is ever going to happen to me. That's a lie. People got to stop telling themselves that. You know what I mean?
Problems are going to be solved just like that. All you got to do is come down to this altar.
You got to
come down.
If it was that easy, you know what I mean? So what's happening is we're associating again what happened to us as something that happened to us and not something that happened around us. This is why I can live in peace and say the world is chaotic. I'm cool. Because what's going on outside doesn't affect how we live inside. You know what I mean? Like, so we have to disassociate. But again, you can't just destroy these things. They won't go away. So you have to start using your magic. You have to start realizing this trauma had such a great hold on me. I couldn't even think about the good times in my life, the fun times, the happy times. So what I know now, what I understand now is something can have a great hold on you. Wow. So why don't I replace that with something good? Why don't I find things that encourage me? Right. You know what I mean? And for me, I always start small. It was learning new languages. It's learning to cook new recipes. It's learning to say new things, speaking to my kids. It's learning new hobbies. It's learning to sit my ass down sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, I'm constantly learning to get away from the past. So that's how I structure my life. This is how the great structure their life. They don't focus on what can go wrong or what happened. They focus on what they're doing, because then everything else works itself out. You never have to worry about what they're doing across the street. We focus on what we're doing over here. Absolutely. So that's what's happening in the past. We're not present. We're not current because we're so in the past. And if you're in the past or the future, you're not in the present. That's guaranteed. You can only be in one place 100% of the time.
Let's go back. I wish I could. Keep talking. I'm fine. Keep talking.
So what's happening? So what's happening is for so long we used our pain as a catalyst to push us to where we think we are. But honestly, we got to where we are because we were healing that pain. So we have to stay on the journey of healing, not trying to focus on the pain to push us forward. Because again, then it's just your friends throwing you in the pool. It's not you intentionally walking up the ladder, walking to the end. And that's how a lot of people spend their lives. Like, you just that grocery bag in the fucking parking lot. You just getting blown from side. You don't know where you going, just to end up in the same parking lot again tomorrow morning.
I gotta play it. Hopefully it doesn't echo.
And that's what happened with my hair. As you're getting
it. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, here it is.
In the future, against you, because the devil uses the past.
Hold on.
Devil uses the past in the future against you, because the devil's sole purpose is to take you in your present. So he uses the past to keep you looking back. The devil doesn't even know what's in the future. So the devil tries to get us to keep looking in the past. So when we're looking in the past, we're not looking in the present. And what we do in the present affects our future. So by default, the devil gets us to destroy our future because he distracts us in the present by looking at the past. So fuck that. I'm right here with it. Like, okay, right now, how you think creates how you feel. How you feel becomes an emotion. That emotion becomes a vibration. That vibration becomes a magnet. That attracts things to you. And yeah, I'm having conversations with the man I'm becoming every day. And those conversations are what? Vibrations that are magnetic, that is attracting that actual reality, because how you think creates how you feel. How you feel becomes an emotion. That emotion becomes a vibration. That vibration becomes a magnet that attracts things to you. So I'm only having conversations with the man I'm becoming.
Yes. So it was on point. I had to play that because you were speaking exactly what this young man was talking about. And this is why I see so millennials get it. They get it. Like, how I think creates how I feel. How I feel becomes an emotion. How I feel becomes a vibration, which becomes what attracts things to me. I'm like, how are so many millennials just getting paid? Like, they are just, and they're thriving, not only with their businesses, but their families and all this stuff like that. I'm like, oh, they get it. They get it.
We just not the fear is deeper for us. I feel like
Yeah.
the from the elders above us, like they learned through social media, so they was finding out truths that it was like, we in our 30s, we just not like what.
Yeah, trying to
They do
grasp
what
and
again?
remind
Or like, and these are things that affect us long term. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Things that we're just finding out about slavery, or like me going over to Ghana and going to some of these places. I'm just finding out. Okay, so prime example, sagging, like the True Colors documentary, or Hidden Colors. Is it Hidden Colors? Hidden Colors documentary said that this pan sagging was basically tied to them not wanting slaves to run away, not giving them belts and any other. Well, here in Ghana, they said, well, no, you had to sag to let everybody know that you was taken advantage of in the back end by your master. So they purposely made you sag as a reminder to everyone what happened to you. So it was intentional sagging that was placed over these men because of what had happened to them.
Wow.
So even now, like looking at that now, it's like, okay, so we got half of the story, but that's not changing folks' minds. But I feel like if they hear the full story, people be like, I'm never sagging again a day in my life.
Which translates also into the prison term when you've been sodomized.
Yeah. They sag.
Exactly.
But
But
I think that's what creates the paradox. That's why we have to release these things and not look for closure, because I feel like you running away from the sagging is like no better, because it's still fear. Like now you're in fear of what it represents.
Right, and not necessarily fear.
I love that when you said that.
You know what I mean?
But at least knowing, right? At least if I know the truth about the matter, I can still make a better decision. Because it's like it's not even like sagging. It's not even really sagging. It's more so like that it's the beyond sag. Like it's now that I can see your dick print and your butt crack and all more areas than.
Well, what I think Tim is saying is that when it comes to our people, I love the alchemy. Mm-hmm. I love the alchemy when it comes to our people, because we'll take the N-word and make it beautiful. Yeah. We'll take street culture and make it beautiful.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I love our alchemy, because we'll take our pain, as he said an hour ago, and just turn it into something that we can say, okay, I may not be able to live with this, but you're not going to be able to
use it against me.
Right.
Exactly. I love our alchemy.
Because it's a form of control, no matter how you look at it. This is why I say you can't change the rules to the game. You can just choose not to play. But if you play the game, you got to play by the rules of whoever created the game. And that's a lot of people's issue. They're trying to change rules to other people's games. Just stop playing. Just say unplug. You dig what I'm saying? But they can't have one without the other. Unplug into what? And that's the unknown. No one knows. That's what he meant by no one knows the future. Your future is what you're doing today. You know what I mean? Just add it up.
So I'll jump in and say this. I went through a period. I went through stage 1. That was stage 1. Stage 2 was overcompensation. So now, I'll go from this gullible child to now overcompensation of being over tough, overdoing it, trying to womanize, knowing that ain't you, bruh. Trying to be, going to Philly and toting guns and getting in all kinds of trouble, going to jail and doing all this stuff like that. That's not you. I mean, I was literally living Antoine Fisher's life. You know what I'm saying? It's a very good movie. It's a very good movie.
And he's a great actor too.
Oh, man.
And until I come to the realization that I can protect myself. Mm-hmm. I can, stand up and be assertive and be bold and be this masculine creature. But I can still have that vulnerable side that says, okay, I like to read. I like to, do things. I like documentaries or something like that. I don't have to be this mode of a person that you want me to be, but I can be who I need to be for myself. And that comes with just age. But I had to break through the voices and the voices that still try to implement my life when it comes to certain family members or certain things like, oh, you trying to be this, you ain't that. It was like, bro, why are you still like this? Why are you still on this? You can see the evidence of my evolution. But then I had to come to a realization, I can't do this for you.
Yeah.
Right.
I have to continue to get it for myself.
Did you enjoy it while you were getting it? You know what I mean? Because my uncle always told me, like, don't regret nothing you had fun doing. Learn from it, but don't regret it. You enjoyed it.
I did.
I regret it at the expense of somebody
exactly.
else too. Like the fact that we have our own personal traumas and fears, which is why I love you brought back in your childhood, because I missed that part of Adrian's question, which is very good, because there are a lot of things that we carry, and I kept on saying, I was actually in my adult life saying the things that people said to me that was damaging me as a child. And so like we grew up where you couldn't really think highly of yourself because that was being conceited. So I couldn't even say, yo, I love this jean jacket and the way it fits me, it looks so nice. I mean, no, you're being conceited. I think I really can dance. I think I'm like a great dancer. No, you're being conceited. You're not a great dancer. You're being conceited.
You ain't no J-Lo.
Yeah.
You gotta have fun with yourself.
I was checking all of these things and really lowering myself by how I spoke based on these other conversations from other people. So I was reinterpreting and trying to make it fit my lifestyle, fit into my body. Like, oh, well, you know, I'm not the best. I do dance, but I'm not the best dancer. Like, I was like, you didn't even say that. Who needs to say you're the best or not?
Just dance. The fact
that you dance. You can. Why was I uncomfortable saying I'm a great dancer, or that I felt pretty, or that I felt a certain type of way? It's
and
like,
the song says it. Just shut up and dance.
You know what's funny, and I'm being transparent today because I'm gonna free myself of this today. I want to
free yourself Friday.
Right here, free yourself Friday. I'm gonna free myself of this today because I know, to piggyback on what you said, my family only knows me as and they have this stuck in their mind of me as a teenager. 150 pounds, wiry, just whatever. So I get to 180 pounds. Boy, you getting fat. Really? I'm looking at some of my old pictures. I'm like, no way. You know what I'm saying? I get to 200. Boy, you get real fat.
Right.
But I'm stocky. I'm military trained. You know what I'm saying? I want a potato regimen, but you know, I look good. You know what I'm saying? But boy, you getting fat. So then it starts to play on me so much. You start to have kids. Now you get the dad bod. Now you go around them. They like, ooh, what's going on? And I'm just letting this program in my mind, like, man, you guys were saying this even when I was 170, 180, but you guys were saying this even then. So what I did was I allowed you really into my head and my psyche and allowed me to start overeating and stuff like that.
I'm about to say,
I allowed this.
It's the family. I was gonna say it's the family. It's the people that you value. Like when we talk about voices, because again, you wasn't replaying necessarily something that maybe a coach or somebody who just was in your life for a short period of time that wasn't consistent. But the people that was in my life kept on calling me skinny. They the reason why my ass ended up fat, because I kept on wishing to be thicker so that I could be like my family, which was more plus size. And I'm the only odd one out. I'm the only one that's getting called skinny. And I can't call you fat. But you can call me skinny, and it hurt my feelings to be called skinny. It hurt because I was like, I don't want to be the only one that's skinny. If we a thick family, I'm gonna be thick like y'all until that ass got too thick. And I was like, yo,
turn the tables on. So this to me fits into what y'all are referring to is the first, episode. The first part of the series is protecting your peace from other people. This is where you have to address how you feel. Just that one time. Again, once I say how I feel, this is how I feel. We don't need 3 discussions. But you address how you feel and then set boundaries within that. Either they live within them boundaries or they don't. That is what it is. You dig? But the next bullet point is you can't just cut ties with the person who hurt you. You have to cut ties with the version of yourself that allowed it. Ooh. Like, let
that breathe. Yo, drop the mega time bomb. Go ahead.
This is the point I'm at in life. This is the ultimate accountability. This is ego death. This is becoming secure with yourself and always assuming you're the problem. Even if what they did led you here, you allowed them to do it. You dig what I'm saying? So you can't just cut ties with the person who hurt you. You have to cut ties with the version of yourself that allowed it. This is where a lot of people are stumbling at their healing journey. And
that's so deep.
This is why self-healing and knowing yourself is so important, because if I know how I'm going to react in the situation is unfavorable, I just don't participate in the situation. I don't try to participate a little bit, or it's a 3-day event. Hey, I'm going to be there Friday. I don't participate. I don't put my logo on the flyer. I don't like how y'all do business. I don't like how y'all do people. I'm cool. At that point, that has to speak for you, because if it doesn't, you're communicating with yourself. You're showing yourself how you feel is not important. It's trickling down on your scale of priority. Down. So then people get in these relationships and, I want you to help how I feel. that has to be something you do before you even started crushing on and liking people, or you wasn't prepared. You're preparing for failure. You're preparing for confusion. You dig? And like I said in the beginning, if you're not choosing connection with me, you're choosing disconnection. There is no middle. There is no other option. If you're not choosing connection, my mind says you're choosing disconnection. So I'm not even going to, I'm getting to a point, I'm not even going to put that accountability on you. I'm going to remove myself. I'm going to say, you know what? You have a good life. Take care. And I mean that. I'm not even being petty or sarcastic. You know what I mean? I really want you to enjoy yourselves. And I realize in my presence, you can. This is why we have to be alone. Because when we're around people, we change.
And people have to stop misusing and manipulating disconnection because, you know, everybody says, well, you knew this before you met me, or you knew this. That it was like, you know, there's some variations in there that I just don't like. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, either we work on fixing these disconnections or, you know what I'm saying? What's the alternative? You know what I'm saying?
Because that person's going to look at it however they want. You know what I mean? Right. I've usually been on the side of like stereotypes. I'm usually on the side in favor of the stereotype. Right. You dig? Sometimes intentionally, just to say like, yeah, this is a stereotype. Now what? You dig? But for me, when it comes to people, I used to hear this all the time. Like, well, you got to know that girl, and you stopped talking to her. You know what I mean? You wasted her time. Like, no, I got to know her. Right. That was the point of dating, to get to know you. The point of dating was not to say, yeah, we're done, we figured it out. I'm trying to figure out if this is where I even want to be tomorrow.
Right, and you learn more about yourself too. Like I feel like in my situationships, as they calling them today,
entanglements.
What'd you say?
Entanglements. There's so many titles.
But what I'm finding is that I'm learning more about self. I'm learning more to be truthful with self, because there's things that I've said and I've gone back on my word to see if there was something possibly there. Yeah. So I'm still not learning my lesson on sticking to my word. And certain things I do, obviously, I stick to my word, but I try not to box myself in so much. So yes, I set boundaries. Yes, I do my best to protect myself, but I noticed that in figuring out this relationship and walking and getting to know someone else while I'm getting to know self is very challenging for me. Right. I think for all of us in life in general, we bring it back to the communication thing, and how we all speak English, but we all use certain words and have a certain level of understanding of the words that we use or the person is using in communication.
And that's why I love, there's two scriptures I definitely love in the Bible. It ties into what Tim was saying. First scripture is, how can two walk together except they agree, right? And the other part is, be thou not unequally yoked. We're not just talking about marriage here. We're talking about two people walking together, because if there's discord, as Tim said before, if there's a one-off, we can provide understanding. We can get an understanding so we can get back on harmony. But when you constantly in a friction, that's when it becomes a force. It becomes, hey, let's not do this, because we're forcing it at this point. But if we can both come to an understanding and agreement, okay, this is what it is, or, you know, I'm going through a triggering phase right now. Can you understand it? Or are you going to stand your ground and say, hey, this is me, you could either take it or leave it? So there's a lot of things that have to work together that you have to come to the realization like, yo, you may not be the problem. I may be the problem. I may need some more healing. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. But if we're constantly in a state of force, this is why people say, oh, the divorce rate is going up, because everybody's forcing it. You know what I'm saying? Somebody over here standing their ground. This person over here standing their ground to a point where this is constant friction. But y'all think, and we look at, come back in.
That was a really good question.
Oh yeah, sound out. Yeah, it was a very good question. Yeah. I just was saying that. What did I say? I said a lot. Since y'all said up in here.
No, I like what both of you were saying. Yeah. Is it good?
Can you,
yeah.
yeah, okay, okay, cool.
So I like what both of y'all saying, and this ties back into Adrian's question and what we were saying before, because this now becomes a form of manipulation on two parts. And one of them is people know now, I'm allowing this behavior. So they'll be in a relationship where both of y'all are settling, and then you're like, I don't want to settle no more. And it's like, well, you let me, which is true. You allowed them to settle. You can't get upset with that.
Right.
So for me now, this is my higher frequency. This is me becoming the person I want to be. I create a realm to where no one settles. That it would be impossible for us to settle. If we ever got to that point, I would just remove myself. Or let's go to some options. Let's go to therapy. Let's go talk to a friend. Let's go on a date. Maybe we ain't been out in a while. I would try things first. But I'm never going to allow us to a point of being stagnant. And then the other side is we don't understand. Some of these people scarred you because it was a mark. You know what I mean? This was one of the most powerful parts of an amazing movie. But the harder they fall. So this was the part where Idris told him, like, I put that cross on your head because I needed to be able to identify you when you came back. Like, that's why people do things they do to us. So they can still see that part in us. And that's what they think is our gullible part. So, that's still an open wound. Yeah, let me borrow $20. Let me hold 20. You know what I mean? So this is why healing is so important. Because you can't be manipulated when you heal.
This is
being manipulated.
I would run into the family reunion. That's the first thing they would say. Boy, you getting fat. It was like, because you know it still bothers me. You know it still bothers me. So to keep me humble, because you see, I done graduated from college. You see, I went to the military. You seen I've done this. You seen I was the first one to buy a house. But that one thing is gonna keep me humble. I like what you just said.
And this is why we heal, because why does anyone have that much control over our lives? And that's the brass tacks. That's the honest truth. And that's a hard truth
that way
because we have to address it. Yeah.
About their truth and their perception of us. Like I
kept
on going into that. Like if I know who I'm talking to, like my ex-husband, one of his best friends a while ago, right after we got married, he was just so annoying. And I'm like, yo, was you like this before we got married? Because I don't remember you getting on my nerves this much. Like, what is the problem? And then I had to realize, wait a minute, who was you talking to?
Yeah.
This person was a certified, literally would walk in the room and say, hey, I'm a certified asshole. Watch, I want you to make you aware and that and the other. And why would I allow someone who deems themselves to be a certified asshole to take me out of my pocket when I already know who I'm? Like, it's like going to a spicy restaurant saying, I don't like no spicy food. You at a spicy restaurant.
Right?
You
don't have to eat here, right?
There's literally other restaurants.
You'll still be in business without your little $10.
Yeah, exactly.
You know that, right?
But we feed into that. We give that energy. And then that's where that lie plays in, when you talked about earlier. Like we can I tell my clients, you can either choose to live the truth or you choose to live a lie. And this is in every situation. But once you figure out the truth, it's best to write it down, to speak it. Yeah. Because now you're going to train yourself and help yourself live the truth rather than living the lie that you once was. And I'll tell them to write down the lie and cross out, like, what was the lie? Oh, I was supposed to be born. Okay, well, that's a lie. Yeah. Because clearly you was. We all were. Yeah. And just write that down. Say, clearly I was supposed to be
love
born.
where you're going with this. Yeah, keep
going. Because non-existence doesn't exist. The fact that you exist means you were supposed to be
and
here.
We can no longer afford to be like, oh, we were mistakes. That does not serve the Black community at all. Like,
nothing's
birth,
random.
The way that birth happens, it's clockwork, like the stars popping out, like the sun coming up every morning, like the moon shining at night. The birth work is clockwork. Like, literally, we can't physically time the moments and the hour down to the second. We know certain things. We know ovulation. We may know about his sperm. But other than that, you just got to do the act and it's going to happen. Like, you have no real control. I mean, vitro, but you have no real control over this action. So we all supposed to get
just your mindset.
Yeah, you know I loved it. She just went full circle what you said at the top of the hour. It was just like, when you have this defeatist mindset, it's like, you were here for a purpose. Stop letting things happen to you. I love how you came back in the full circle.
It's where you put your energy at. And that's something that I had to start dissecting within myself. I paid attention to the things that I defend. And we could all be in the classroom and somebody walk in like 2 + 2 is 5 and everybody get pissed off. Like, what? Like, excuse me, you threatening what I know to be real.
Right.
And that same person can come in 10 minutes later, like, nobody in here is God's. And everybody's just doing what they doing.
Because they don't know the truth.
It doesn't, like, when you know the truth, no one can lie to you. Yeah. So again, it's not about what they're saying, it's about what do you believe.
Right.
Because what you believe will trump everything they're saying. And guess what? Here's the kicker, a little insight on the future. They're still going to say all those things, no matter what you believe. So you might as well believe what you want.
We can be elementary, middle, or high school where something happened, some scandal, some fight, some talk. And if you was in it, you couldn't wait for something else to happen to get the attention off of whatever brought everybody's attention to be speaking about you.
Exactly.
Right? It's almost that same energy where it's like, it's that you get that overworked feeling on the inside where it's like, man, everybody know my secrets or everybody's talking about this. We have that type of energy to where we just we waiting for the next big thing to happen for somebody else's life so y'all can stop looking at my things or embarrassment is what we talked about.
Absolutely.
Embarrassment.
Absolutely. Which I feel like what her question is saying.
Well, I want to say this. I want to piggyback off of her question because there's this thing going around. So some of y'all protecting your peace a little too much or something like that. Or she's saying is kind of taking your accountability too far. And the answer to both questions is like, do you know the difference between protecting your peace, which is a series we've had for the last 3 weeks, or are you running? And this is the realization I had to come to is the 2 years that I got off the scene and I called myself being celibate and doing all these things. I was actually hiding, right? I was actually hiding away from and not really dealing with things. I was just basically, if I don't have to run into this person, I don't have to feel the pain. If I don't have to run into this situation, I don't have to feel the pain. But I wasn't healing at all. You know what I'm saying? So yes, you can protect your peace not too much, but you can misinterpret what you call protecting your peace.
I'll say absolutely. You can take anything too far. Absolutely, you can take accountability too far. And this is the point to where this is why we create alter egos. This is why it is the epitome. Don't regret something you have fun doing. I have fun being in the streets. I have fun cussing people out because I had to learn to speak to myself with that type of gusto, with that type of oomph, you dig? And it happens all the time in accountability. When I'm trying to force accountability on somebody else or myself, I tell myself, like, you're pressed. You're pressed right now. Like, let it go. Like, it's too important to you to prove it or get things right. That's when it's time to let it go. That's when you're doing it too much. You know what I mean? You're over hammering accountability. Just let it go. Like it's cool. It'll be fine. Just let it go.
What is your own personal conclusion that you're trying to come to?
I want to know.
Because to me, usually your own conclusion it should be peace. I'm at peace with this answer. Right. I'm at peace with how my life is. My job said they about to fire me tomorrow. I got something else lined up. I have been working on my writing. I'm at peace with that. I'm cool with that. It's been a hard 20 years, and we both want to keep fighting, but you want to part ways. I gotta be at peace with that. And the only way I can be at peace with that is if I did everything I came here to do. If I loved you right, if I showed up for you, if I listened to you, if I did everything I could do, that's my only closure. It's not them giving you closure. That should be your closure, is you know you did a good job.
Message to anybody. Once I take accountability, there's nothing you can say to me at that point. So that's your hurt. That's what you got to deal with at that point. That's when I say, I forgive myself. I forgive myself. I'm done. So you can stay there if you want to. Bring whoever over the lane you think, that dude is gone. You know what I'm saying? He's not coming back. So once I take accountability, it's over.
And from a therapist standpoint, this is, in my experience, I've sat down with a lot of relationships. This is where I hear sometimes what a relationship feels like their partner is moving on from them because they're moving on from that hurt. They don't want to be there no more. They're drained and they're getting more frustrated because you can't see how drained they are.
Right.
You're still just, let's vacation. Let's do this. Let's do TV. They tired.
So Adrian said, can we hold ourselves accountable too much? Hope that makes sense. And I would say yes, because at the end of the day,
absolutely,
you need to give yourself grace. Like everything that you're experiencing when it comes to shadow work, it's brand new. You've been through it before, but you ain't been through it in the terms of healing and in terms of connecting with the people and the nature around you. So this is a brand new thing. it's going to require mercy and grace on your part.
Yeah.
The world may not give it to you,
And
but you're going to be required to give it to self.
I felt like her point was valid when everybody was just like, you. And I was like, okay, how can I fix this? How can I fix it?
Yeah.
I'm like, then I had to look in the mirror like, am I okay? Do I like me?
Exactly.
Am I okay with me? So holding myself accountable, I was like, I'm just trying to please y'all. Instead of like, yo.
But this is the magic. You feel me? This is why I got into spirituality. Because what she's saying is absolutely you can hold yourself to accountable. Because what's happening is, again, we have to live in this paradox. We have, like J. Cole said, to get to where you're trying to go, you have to be delusional. You gotta think like this is. You gotta think I'm not doing as much as I can do in the world. I'm not as big as a tree, but you also gotta think I'm as vast as the universe at the same time. You dig what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is I go into it saying everything's my fault, but when I work myself through it, 98% of this stuff is not my fault. I did that so I didn't have to put the accountability on you. This person didn't have to try to run from it or hide. I just took it. You feel me? There's something flying around in the world, everybody ducking. I just put it in the bag. Like, it doesn't matter whose it is. I got it. It's mine.
And it's crazy.
Because I'm going to dispose it. I'm going to let it out.
Right. It's crazy how people don't support that mentality. I feel like people get more frustrated with me because I'm quick to be like, oh, okay. I did that to you. I stepped on your foot. My bad, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
it's all love.
I won't ever, or like how you said yesterday, I didn't mean to put you on blast, bro.
Yeah.
We family.
Yeah.
There is no blast. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, there is no blast. Like, I didn't even feel that type of energy that you was like trying to throw me under the bus or anything like that.
Yeah.
Nor did I allow my mind to go. That's why I was like, no worries. Like, this is
It
like,
was my
and
it was my discovery.
It's facts. Like,
Yeah. It was my discovery because I tell people like this. I don't mind correction. Just don't do it in front of people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So therefore, when I seen it was a group text, I was acknowledging, hey, yo, I thought you was hitting me up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, on a one-on-one. So when I seen it was the group, I would just want to acknowledge, like, yo, I didn't know it.
But this is the beauty. This is the beauty of both ends. This is a dynamic. This is what we would consider a relationship. Relationships are all different facets. There's romantic ones, there's platonic ones, there's family, there's colleagues, work. Yeah. There's some y'all just have similar interests. You know what I mean? So this is why it's so important because you engage through that's communication. You know what I mean? And then she engaged back with her communication. So now we can move forward from the situation having grown, but you now have perspective. This is what it means by you're attracting a certain type of person. Yeah. And those people are the people you can come to the group and not even have to assume you did anything.
Now we don't have to have this conversation anymore.
That's holding yourself over accountable. You think what I'm saying? And you're communicating now, I respect y'all to be a different group of people. I don't treat y'all like the people I'm used to. So now I'm communicating. I can see that y'all are different. But for us, it happens to me all the time. People treat me how people treat them. And I constantly got to correct them and say, you don't have to do that. Right. Yeah. This is Wakanda. We don't do that here.
My eldest used to say that all the time. He said, Mom, you gave me so much information. And you're treating me like you always up here. Yeah. I got enough information. You can calm down and be down here. Like, you don't have to come at me like you ain't taught me nothing. I know what I need to do. So you can come here when you come at me. Like, don't.
But you are the way that you live your life. A lot of us picked up these habits from work. And a lot of times in women of high positions or high powers, that's how I got to, talk to them. Because sometimes you kind of explaining things and talking to me like an employee. Like, since we here, we both got businesses. You don't talk to me like one of your employees. Like, this ain't that. You dig? And respectfully, though, but this is me protecting my peace. And this is me protecting my peace from myself. Because later I got to go lay down my head at night and review our interaction and ask myself, was this favorable? Is this how you want people talking to you? Is this how you want to feel at night? You couldn't even sleep because of that conversation. Is this how you want to spend your life? You know what I mean? So
hot as heck.
Yeah, they just trying to heat up on blast.
Listen, so Adrian, I guess to answer your question, anybody else, I want you to make sure that as we are going through this process,
keep talking to Adrian. I gotta go get an artist.
For sure. As we going through this process, continue to make sure that you are giving yourself grace again, because this is just the first one. It has really both left me in the studio by myself, but we gonna get it cracking. But this is your first time visiting some of these situations. It's going to require grace. It's going to require patience because, again, we've all been damaged, and to a certain extent. And as we are And as we are moving forward and healing ourselves, we got to tap back into some of the things that people have done to us and things that we purposely done to ourselves. But it's not going to assist us moving forward if we continue to beat down the person that is needed to heal, right? You need you to heal. So the best way to do that is to give yourself grace. You made a mistake, and let's say you did the same thing a year ago and you just doing it now, and it's like, oh my goodness, maybe that was your first time having an opportunity to practice that thing that you said you didn't want to do or made you feel a certain way. So with that being said, grace and mercy is much needed in shadow work. It's like mandatory.
It really is. And that's why we can't. I don't know if they turn the heat up or what, but I'm gonna have Jess turn it down. We are going to extend. If you guys want to stay on, I don't know if my counterparts want to stay on, but Young Sauce the God is in here from Atlanta. Yes. So we're going to bring him in on the conversation just for about a half hour, 45 minutes, just to let him know where he's going to be at this weekend. He said, hey, can I just drop in real quick, you know what I'm saying, let people know what I'm doing. So we'll bring him into the conversation, but we're going to have to open up this door because it's getting a little
hot up in here. That thing came out my whole jacket.
Yeah, it's a little humid up in here.
Nothing else, but I tell you what, it's
But
hot.
but yeah, I'm really loving the unpacking. I think, you know, maybe we could start the conversation. What does removing your ego look like? What's one of the first steps to, because that's where I'm at right now, is like I'm really trying to say, okay, let's start with the problem first. Let's start with the root of it and then move towards protecting my peace, because I think a lot of the stumbling blocks that I do have is, okay, it's not always about you.
Okay, so here's the thing. Ego means an inflated feeling of pride in your superiority to others. So meaning that you think that you sit above other people in a certain manner. So I think that I feel like ego is needed. There's a fine line. I feel like you got to balance that thing out, because it's not saying that I'm better than people or that, but you are better than some people. Like
I'm better than you.
The facts you are better than some people because you're doing the work. Mm-hmm. You're the one out here that's actually healing yourself. So you might be in many worlds classified as better than some other individuals.
My significant other said, let your guard down. And as you have seen, especially Tim, as he's watched this whole journey and he's seen the trauma, he's seen my family members, he's seen the attack from a lot of people. And we was on the phone one day. He said, man, you don't think I see you, but I see why you are the way that you are. I see the elements that cause you to be how you are. So she says, let your guard down. Yeah. But when you had them gloves up all your life, like, stop, please don't. I don't want you to do that. I don't like that. You had your guard up all your life. So now you look, sometimes you feel like, man, do I gotta, hey, I'm a punk on my face, or do I look like you can try me? So then therefore, like I said, you don't know where to, jump in, jump out, turn yourself about, because it's like at one part you want to be gullible. Remember that game? Yeah. So you want to be gullible, then you go to a period of life of overcompensation. Then you go to an awakening moment. It's like, okay, how do I balance this out? So now you look awkward doing that. Yeah. So when she says, let your guard down, I said, I can't, because the minute I do, somebody's going to try me again. You know what I'm saying?
So,
and I'm going to speak on that.
Yeah, we live in a world of trying. Everybody's going to try something. But I think that it's more so about being in tune with yourself, like, because now you're able to gauge the connection with all these other people. And I'm not looking for nobody to do me dirty. I just know that I pick up on it when it's happening. And I'm thankful for that. Like, I'm thankful for, oh, okay, you didn't slip through the crack. You thought you was getting through, but I see you. Thank you for allowing me to see. Thank you for me seeing you for who you are, your authentic self. And that I see that I don't need to be involved in this. You don't need to be this close to me.
Exactly.
So I can remove myself because now I see. You understand? So now I am the one that is not necessarily saying that's why I said ego is like ego and pride. They use it in a way, I feel like, to diminish our gifts.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to be able, like if I'm doing work and you're sitting on the bench and you've done nothing, we're on the same team, yes, but I'm doing the work.
But you guys solved my issue in the very first 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Stillness just lets you observe.
Mm-hmm.
Stillness just says, okay,
That's true.
just watch and observe. You're unclear. You don't have all the answers. You feel something's off, but you could be off. So you answered it in the first 10 minutes. I'm like, I have to learn to be still. If something feels off, is it me first? Let me see if it's me.
Right.
But in my stillness, like you said, don't run away from the pain, because that's the other thing too, is like it's painful. But even in the stillness, it's like, okay, this is painful. But as we say, I gotta see it through, my boy.
And you're imagining a lot worse than it is, painfully. And this is why Village is so important, because other people's perspective gives you context. And this is why I believe in duality, because even comparison isn't always bad. It depends on how you're using the comparison. This is why we go into nature. We use the trees as comparison to be small, to be present, to be a human being. And this is why I use my mentors. This is why I usually tell people, when you hit these kind of bricks, you need more mentors. And this is why it's happened to people like Mike Tyson. And that's the perspective. He gives my life context. If Mike Tyson can stop fighting, I can stop fighting.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's as easy as I look at it. Because on my scale of fighters, he's up there. He's probably one of the greatest that ever lived.
Absolutely.
So he can put the gloves down. I can put the gloves down. And this is honoring your mentors. This is honoring your ancestors. You're doing this for them. It doesn't always have to be for us. You can use your family as a catalyst, but when things go wrong, you still have to be the captain of the ship.
Right.
And this is what a lot of us are experiencing now. We done been around the world, but it was on a rowboat with just us. And now you got a ship with mates and family members and business partners and people you care about. You dig what I'm saying? So now it's a whole different experience. You got to be a different type of captain to accommodate other people on your ship, especially during the storm. You feel what I mean? And this is the period a lot of us have gotten into. This is what happened with the veil lifted over the last couple of years. Well, shit, it's 2020. Everything just upside down, sideways, backwards.
Everything now. And that's what it is. We got Young Sauce to God. Young Sauce to God in the building.
What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Can you hear me?
Huge echo. Is it still echo now?
Hold on, let me make sure.
Oh, might be that.
Is it still echo?
No, I'm down over here.
I'm off.
Still echoing.
Let me turn this off here. So my phone is off here. I don't know if it's Sauce's. Did it happen? Okay, you guys, did it happen when Sauce came on? Because Sauce might have to go out. Yeah, they said it happened when Sauce came on. So I'm not sure. Sauce, if you come up, then basically you're just going to have to put your phone on mute.
All right.
Probably.
Yeah.
Or Sauce, when you get up here, we'll figure it out. But we're gonna have to probably get you off the stage for now and see if that's the problem, and then we'll bring you back. I'll text you, okay?
All right, bet.
All right, cool.
And we pretty much covered all the bulletins.
All right, are we still echoing now? That's the question. Are we still echoing now that he's off?
Yes, no, mix it.
Yep, it was Sauce.
Oh, it's good now?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, it was Sauce there. We do apologize. Actually, we're going to end this broadcast, and then we're going to bring Sauce on. So this is a completely different other interview. Young Sauce to God, doing great things. He is from Columbus, Ohio, but moved to Atlanta. He was with the Franchise Boys and doing a lot of other things, but we'll get to him in just a minute. He's en route, just got off the plane from Atlanta, so we're going to talk to him for about 30 minutes while he comes up here. But we're going to go ahead and start, closing off the bullet points. Can you, for the people in the back, can you go over the bullet points one more time? And when he shares this, hopefully he can put the bullet points in a caption as well.
Yeah, I could do that. So everything we discussed today was talking.
I love this show.
Talking kindly to yourself.
I love this show.
Food for the soul. This one. talking kindly to yourself always. Be honest with yourself. You aren't slicker than the universe. Make time for yourself. Stop giving your time out to everyone and coming back to work on yourself depleted of energy.
Boom.
Give yourself grace. Being hard on yourself and punishing yourself is toxic behavior. Look in the mirror with fair eyes. Don't judge a fish on its ability to fly. You can release what doesn't serve us. You can't just cut ties with the person who hurt you. You have to cut ties with the version of yourself that allowed it.
Love that.
We spoke some on intrusive thoughts, and for me, the medicine for intrusive thoughts is staying busy, getting busy in your purpose. You know what I mean? Go get grounded with nature. Go to a soup kitchen. You feel me? Go hug a homeless person. Like go get involved. You have to protect yourself from complacency, fatigue, perfectionism, and other people's version of you that's stuck in your head.
Mm-hmm.
That was what we discussed as far as your family, like their view of you.
Yes. You
have to protect yourself from overachieving, and you have to protect yourself from your goals. Your goals cannot become priority. It cannot be do or die. Health has to be your most important priority, no matter what you're experiencing, no matter how much money you got. So you can agree or disagree with the subconscious, but you got to remember you call the shots. Like, and this is what our family's voice, these intrusive thoughts. We're driving the wheel. The person to me that got out of bed this morning and drove myself to this studio, I call the shots. I tell everybody else what we're doing and what to expect.
Yeah.
I apologize when I'm wrong, when I made a mistake. I shouldn't have had this friend around. I shouldn't have told this person this information. I apologize. I hold myself accountable within myself. So we got to get a better relationship with all the parts in our voice. And it's because they're running wild. Like, you got to put them in their place. That's when you got to put your chest up. Like, everybody sit down.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm talking. Real nigga talking. Everybody sit down. So, and don't let your subconscious speak for you. It's just there to protect you. Your subconscious is a safety net. Because if we get turned off, it gets turned off too. So it's trying to keep you alive. It's one job, purpose is to survive. So we have to turn that into a life. It can't just be survival. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have the keys to actually turn that in what we want to do. So that's your biggest battle with yourself, is you have to remind yourself you have the power. We got to stop relinquishing power to people. You dig? That's how you strengthen it. Tell yourself you have the power. Look in the mirror. I look in the mirror every day. I look at myself all the time, and not to look for the features, to look myself in the eye. Yeah. Eyes is the gateways to the soul. You dig? So look in the eyes. Look yourself in the eyes and tell yourself, I'm gonna do better today.
I love it.
You dig?
Yeah.
That's day one.
And I know I shared this before. As far as shadow work, the best thing you can do, yes, before you, even in connection with some of the things he gave you, is bearing yourself in the mirror and actually speaking to what you see, not just the physical parts, but even the things, the depths of your existence, and actually affirming yourself in the mirror. Whether it's, I love my short hair, I love the way, my skin feels or my skin color.
This was a good choice.
Yeah, like my body. Like, I love the way my organs sit so good in my body and work perfectly together, and how they assist you. These things, but it's the deeper, and like you said, though, that looking in your eyes is deep. It's some adults that can't even look in the mirror. We did a mirror test years ago. When I lived in Florida, but we had them an image test. We had them look themselves in the mirror and speak something nice. They could not. Many of them cannot look in the mirror and say one good thing about what they've seen. So that's huge. It's painful. But a lot of us are living like that. We smile. We could put makeup on and wigs and beautiful clothes and the sneaks and all that other stuff. But can you look yourself in the mirror and say something kind and nice about yourself? Or say what you desire to see or desire to be? Can you speak those things to self?
Well, one thing I'll say in closing, before I get to my point, I thank God for growth. We are at 14 likes today. 14 likes today. So many, 2 more extra shares from strangers. Thank you so much, man. You can't imagine how we feel about this growth. I've seen on an average about 10 to 11 people on average. I know there's more listeners because you guys come in and out. We understand it's the morning show, so you have to go to work. But I seen as an average about 10 or 11. Usually that number when it was me and Tim was like 2 or 3. You know what I'm saying? But then over time we would see the 150. Now we're getting into the 200 and the 300 viewership mark. So obviously this is helping you guys. This is helping us. The one thing that I want to say is please improve your self-talk. And I'm talking to myself. Because, you know, a thought becomes a feeling becomes an emotion becomes a vibration, and a vibration becomes a magnet. I had to undo all the negative talk. It wasn't self-talk. It was the talk, as Adrian said, of my childhood. It was the talk of that people who wanted to keep me down, going back to that slavery thing, that, you know, they were proud of me, but they did not know how to express it. So therefore, but I only ate from the negative things that they put on my plate. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I didn't feed off of the natural things that God had given me. I only ate from the nasty things that they force fed me. So now in my older years, I have to improve my self-talk to say that I do deserve this. I do deserve peace. I do deserve to grow. I do deserve to learn more about the world and about myself. I do deserve to not only be kind to people, but to also receive that kindness as well. So while I'm attracting these things, this is what brings about a Tim. This is what brings about a Wally. This is what increases my relationship with my significant other and my children and things of that nature. I'm not discounting my family. I just basically have to do what's best for me at this point in time. So that way, once we reconvene, you won't recognize the person that you left. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, and you either have to respect it or we have to stay loving each other from a distance. Mm-hmm. But other than that, have a great weekend. We will not be here next week because of the holiday. I definitely will be spending time with family, but I want you to leave them with some advice because we are coming around family. I want you to leave them on this note. We are getting ready to be around family, and not all of it is going to be positive. So how should they navigate the holidays right now, especially going into a possible toxic situation?
Okay, so I love what you said, and I'm gonna piggyback off that. Like, what you feed will grow. So for the people doing whatever you did last year, my advice is always do something different. If you wasn't around family, try being around family. If you were, try being alone. Do something different. See how it makes you feel. Take those two situations and then make a decision. Like, life is full of hard and impossible choices, but we still got to make a choice. So what you feed will grow. What you choose to be around, what you choose to entertain will become who you are. So just be mindful. Just practice mindfulness.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like I said earlier in the show, just remember who you're around. Like, if you know your auntie like the crack jokes or your uncle like the crack jokes and this is who they are, don't allow who these people are to take you out of character. You know, you can appreciate them being their true authentic selves, even if it comes across as being an asshole. You can appreciate that because a lot of people are walking around lying on who they are. So appreciate somebody being themselves, even if it makes you feel a little bit type of way. And then check out why you feel a certain type of way about somebody being themselves, even if it's ignorant and disrespectful. They are true to themselves. So there's an easy way to navigate around that. And one of the best ways is to understand who you're dealing with, right? And who you're showing up to be.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for tapping in. I'm coming right back in with Young Sauce the God from Atlanta, Georgia. So we'll tap out and then tap back in. Please share this on your page. Have a great weekend.
Oh, Tim, you want to say where you're going to be?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We got the Excellence Black Tie Gala going on all weekend. Tomorrow we're at COSI. I'm going to be selling books.
Yeah.
And then we're
at something, right?
Black Excellence.
Tonight we're at Penn's from 6 to 10. Penn's Mechanical is free. So pull up, whoever want to pull up.
Is it Easton or downtown?
I got to double check. I think it's downtown. I think it's Easton, my bad.
Okay.
But then Sunday we're at the Wild Goose. We are celebrating Men's National Health Month or Healing Month. So we got a bunch of men on the card. Sunday at Wild Goose.
Oh, Tim,
terrible.
Everybody said this was a dope conversation. Tell them where they can find the audio on Spotify.
Oh, yeah. So make sure y'all tap into Good Life Podcast, The Kickback, on Spotify, Apple Pod, YouTube, everywhere. Just type in Good Life Podcast, The Kickback, or The Kickback, and you will find us.
All right. Y'all have a great weekend. God loves you, and I do too. I'll be at CJ's tonight. All right, man. Peace.
Peace.